It was a late night with the Iowa caucus, and then I couldn't sleep. I was just so excited, you know? Politics just gets my juices going. Let's see. Let me see how I can do this. Felice, I'm going to try and figure out if I can do this co-host thing. We've been trying to... Oh, shit. That's not good. I don't know how to do it. I don't see how to do the co-host thing. Did not want that. Good morning, everybody. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. Can I offer it on this? I don't know how to do it, Felice. We're going to have to figure it out. The instructions you gave me were not helpful in the slightest, so. There we go. Good morning. Oh, thanks, Steph. I'm doing the best I can, which is not great when it comes to technology. Myself, I'm feeling great. My life is great. But I'm not great at technology, which is disappointing. Did Vivek drop out? He sure did. He sure did. He was real confident. He had a rough day yesterday. Even before the voting happened. Good morning, Felice.
Good morning.
Sorry, guys. Felice is going to be really down today. You guys know how much Vivek meant to her personally, and so she's pretty in the dumps today.
Very torn up. My life.
Yeah, I mean, you can take the day off if you need to.
I could use a day off, but not to think about Vivek.
just to only think about Vivek.
Gross.
That's what I do. Yeah, Jen's saying you have to start as a co-host before the live starts. I don't think that's true either. I have the option to co-host with somebody now. I just can't find Felice. It's a weird thing.
You tap the co-host icon, tap settings to allow co-host invitation from other hosts. You have to allow co-host invites. Yeah.
Oh, I just disabled that. All right. Well, there we go. Now it's allowed. Now, can you send me a request? I don't know how that works.
No, you have to send the request, I think.
I can't send a request. There's no option for me to send a request here. There's like a list of on my, well, let's see if I can look up.
It says tap co-host icon, tap settings.
I did that part already.
Okay, sorry.
Like I can find you and there's a thing that says invite and I can't tap the invite button. It's just like it's like a blacked out button. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll take a screenshot of that because it says if you encounter any technical issues such as the co-host button not appearing, no friends or recommended hosts on the panel, or no response after tapping the button, which sounds like that's what you're saying. Please provide us with the details. So take a screenshot and then you can send it to me or we can both send it later.
Oh, because your agency responds to you?
No, this is just to TikTok.
Oh.
Because this is a new feature, you know what I mean? This is like on the engineering project roadmap, so there's going to be technical issues with it, and they need to iron them out. So we'll figure it out.
I think they just don't like me. I've decided that's what it is. I've decided I'm unlikable to the TikTokians.
I don't have I don't have an agency. I used to work in I used to work with advertising agencies.
Oh, that's right. You have like an actual person at TikTok that's assigned to yours. That's how they used to do it. And then they turned it over to like these third-party agencies.
I don't have enough followers. I think people do have that, like have direct contacts. I don't. It's just like for content, like not having anything to do with lives. Like, you know what I don't have anything to do with lives, but just having to do with making content. Like you're assigned to like, I don't know what they're called, like a manager, account manager or something. And then they do like webinars and all sort of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They used to
like
do
train you how to make, and like when there's new features, they like explain them like in groups or whatever. It's helpful.
But I think now we don't have account managers, and if we do, then I'm just dumb. That could also be the option there. Let me pull up the flow from today. Somebody asked if I'm grumpy. I'm not grumpy, but we watched we're not going to cover the video today, but Felice and I both watched probably the worst. I don't know. Have you ever seen anything worse than what we watched yesterday? The Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, and that all, if we want to just kind of review it lightly, it starts on 28. But yeah, Charlie Kirk, well, I don't even know. Yeah, it's disgusting. Charlie Kirk basically put out like a press notice ahead of time, ahead of Monday, ahead of yesterday, that he was going to do this segment. At first, it was just going to be a segment about, basically disparaging and discrediting Martin Luther King Jr. on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And the reaction to that, because people from the left watch his show and heard him say like that's what he was planning to do, there was this huge like outcry. It wasn't just people from the left. It was like people that his own friends like sent him emails and stuff and said, don't do this. Like, what are you thinking? Why would you do this? And then that, I guess, that outpouring of people saying this is not a good idea, like, or even like Republicans, like his fans were emailing him saying, if you disparage Martin Luther King Jr., like you will lose voters. Your job is to increase the Republican
Yeah,
base.
that's his job.
Yeah, so like you're doing the opposite of what your job is by doing this. And it just all fueled him to whatever he had planned to do that times 10,000. And that led to the most disgusting 40-minute podcast I've ever seen in my life.
It was the most blatant, dishonest form of propaganda that I've ever seen. And not only that, but Charlie Kirk, who, by the way, no surprise that Bushmaster, who's here, is a fan of Charlie Kirk. Because Charlie Kirk, like all MAGA supporters, is a giant fucking coward. And so Charlie Kirk wouldn't stand on any of these words on his own. So instead, Charlie Kirk brought on a black man to say all the awful things, while Charlie Kirk stood there and said, that's fascinating. You're absolutely right. So when push comes to shove and he gets accused of being racist, Charlie Kirk will stand behind that black man and use him as a shield and be like,
a human shield.
Words. This wasn't what I had to say. It was like it actually. I know people think like
I'm gonna find
people in the comments early could tell like I'm off. I don't know if you feel off or not, but like that's really what it was. This is it's not shocking for me to see Charlie Kirk is no longer pretending not to be a white nationalist. He's just openly a white nationalist now. The things, some of the accusations from this video are that what Martin Luther King did was make life worse for black people. That had he not existed, had he never spoken up, that the lives of black people in America would be better. They claimed that one of the claims was that he was a Satanist because he petitioned the government for equality, for equity, for equal rights. And he petitioned that government for those rights when he should have been, and I'm not fucking joking about this, he should have just asked Jesus. That was the real take from Charlie Kirk and whatever this guy's name was. He was upset and called him a Satanist because he didn't just ask Jesus. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, wait.
I don't recommend watching it. I don't.
Yeah,
it's horrific.
I mean, yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise. Like, oh my God, it's hard to even talk about this stuff because it's so vile. But, at one point, this man that Charlie Kirk had on was saying until the African American community and other minority communities as well, like accept that the civil rights that African Americans are worse off after the civil rights movement, then they will remain at the bottom of America. I mean, the wild stuff that was being said. He also had, what's that guy's name that he had on, that Neff guy who was like kicked out of, hold on, I have it in the notes because it's vile. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I may not have got to that point. There was the next guy? I saw that you sent me that he had Kimberly, is it Classic?
Klasick. Well, no, he attacked Kimberly Klasick was questioning him on Twitter.
Is that
and
what
saying,
that was?
What
that
are
you sent
you
me?
doing? Yeah.
Okay,
She was
I didn't
like,
look
what
at
are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Kimberly Klasick's calling you out.
yeah, she was
Wow.
like, "Oh, so you don't want any African Americans to vote for you then?" Like
Yeah.
that's the goal, is to disparage and basically have all African American voters turn away. And like, he's just doubling, tripling down. Like, nothing anyone says to this man. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Vince Everett Ellison is his
I'm trying to
name.
get his first. Oh, Blake Neff. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember. Like, one of the co-hosts of his podcast is a man named Blake Neff, who Kirk called, referred to as the white MLK. Like, I just can't describe. This is, and will now be the show's director of MLK history. This guy, Blake Neff, if you don't know who he is, he left Fox
He's the guy
News.
that got fired by Tucker.
He left Fox News after his racist online posts. Like, Tucker Carlson had to get rid of this man. Now he is on Charlie Kirk's show, like, gleefully taking part in disparaging Martin Luther King Jr.
And by the way, this isn't overt racism that Neff was fired for. Like, he was online using the N-word repeatedly using the N-word. Like, that's what he got fired for. And Charlie Kirk's like, yeah, this is my guy.
And Charlie Kirk's calling him the white MLK and the director of MLK history. Like, Charlie Kirk is just, it's also interesting. So there was a clip, right? Like, because people are horrified by this online. Like, and they're looking. So last year, which I said, Charlie Kirk is a different person. Like, he has been radicalized. He's always was like in the closet, sort of like a white nationalist, a Christo-fascist. And they showed clips like last year at America Fest. There was MLK was part of the background, part of the digital graphics of the background. They were celebrating MLK Jr. Like, in the graphics, he's in charge of all that stuff. A year later, and he said it's fair to say I was an MLK supporter at one time, but I didn't know the truth about him. The truth being that, MLK was a socialist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have, first of all, this guy's inability to understand, like, what socialism or Marxism is. It's across the board. There's not a conservative here that can tell me what socialism is, what Marxism is. There's not one of you. Every one of you are too stupid to just Google it, because you've been fed this lie your entire life that socialism just means evil, and you confuse it with fascism. So you just keep misidentifying fascism as socialism. But one of the things that struck me, now I can't remember.
Well, while you're remembering, I just need to do my thing really quick. Guys, we still, RTP is still on his backup account. This is RTP Talks 2. Please follow this account if you're not following it. And we need to tap the screen consistently. It looks like Bushmaster doesn't want to come up and talk to us. So we need to get to the For You page so we can get some Republicans. I would love to hear someone explain why it's okay for Charlie Kirk to be doing this and to disenfranchise African American voters. I do fully believe, like, all minority groups, but African American voters in particular should be voting for whoever they want, including the Republican Party. Why can Charlie Kirk sit online with his millions of followers and disparage an African American leader in this country? This is the same Charlie Kirk who spends every day on his podcast saying, can't trust the FBI, can't trust the FBI, can't trust the DOJ. Everything the FBI says is a lie, unless it's the FBI files that disparage MLK. Then we can trot those on out, and all of a sudden those are real. Do you see the hypocrisy of the right? Can't trust the FBI if they're investigating Trump. But if it's to disparage an African American man, a leader, a historical figure that's celebrated in this country, then it's fine. Then all of a sudden the FBI can be trusted.
There are videos of Charlie Kirk in debates with liberals being like, oh, you trust the FBI? Look what they did to MLK. Like, there are clips of Charlie Kirk admitting that what they did to MLK was disgusting. And yet he comes up and he does this. I remember now what I was talking about. one of the quotes at the very beginning, and this is Republicans for you that they don't understand, like they just don't get it. I don't remember who the quote was. I don't think it's Martin Luther King. It might have been Malcolm X, but the quote is essentially like that white liberals are using black people for the vote. Like they just pander to them to get a vote. That's fair. That's a fair criticism. It is a fair criticism to say that white liberals pander to black people for the vote. That happens. What it doesn't fucking mean is that means that the conservatives are the good guys. And this is like that duopoly and the sidesism that confuses conservatives. They hear that and they're like, oh, we're the good guys. No, you are the ones that they were running from. Like when you left the Jim Crow era and you had white liberals who may have used you for their votes, does that mean you should go back to the party that's advocating for these laws to still exist? That doesn't make any sense, and that's where conservatives don't get it. They do not understand, and it was just so sad to see this man who claimed that he was raised with two pictures on his wall, a picture of Jesus and a picture of Martin Luther King. Now, I am choosing not to believe him because it blows my fucking mind that somebody would be raised in that house and become who he is. I choose not to believe him. Felice, I don't think is as convinced as me. I think he's lying. But that's probably just to protect me. Like, that's just to protect my own mind, because I don't know how somebody could be raised with a proper education on who Martin Luther King Jr. was and then say these types of things. Like, I was raised with a very, very slanted view of Martin Luther King Jr. I remember, I think, I want to say just, I think junior high, but I remember a teacher specifically, like, didn't go into details, but we celebrate Martin Luther King because he did some good things, but he's not the guy that you guys pretend, or that everybody pretends he is. And it kind of left it at that. I remember asking my mom about that, and my mom was like, yeah, that's true. And I had an uncle that was, he had worked in the CIA, in the Secret Service, and some of that stuff had been passed down through my family about Martin Luther King Jr. He was not viewed as necessarily the hero that he should have been where I grew up, but I could not fathom how this happened. I talked to Mr. Jones last night just about something unrelated, but then I just brought up this, and he spent 45 minutes explaining some stuff that I was unaware of, and yeah, it just shook me, because I'm just looking at this Republican Party and I'm just wondering how this happened. I'm wondering how in 2024 they are going backwards. They are becoming more racist. They're becoming more openly racist. I for the life of me can't figure out how this has happened.
No, it's a reaction to facing the truth, right? Like when you are faced unequivocally with the reality of systemic racism, right? Not to say that, not talking about, hey, Republicans are individually have any hate in their heart, but that a system has been skewed, right, to benefit them. And like, this is the reality that we're living in. The return, let's drag us back to pre-civil rights is a reaction to that, right? It's like there's people, it's hard to wake up and face the truth. It's hard to say, wow, these are like, you remember when you learned about systemic racism, it's unbelievable to realize, that you're 5 times more likely to get pulled over if you're an African American than if you are, to go to jail if you're African American than if you're Caucasian. Like, these are hard lessons to learn. You don't want to believe it. The violent reaction of, I will not accept this. I would rather rewrite history. I would rather my children not know the truth than face the ugly truth of what America is.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I think that, like, I guess maybe it's good that it's out. Maybe it's good that, like, the mask is off. Maybe this is something that we needed. But it was so goddamn shocking to me. Like, I saw what the video was. I saw the headline of the video, and I'm like, oh, Charlie Kirk is going to somehow spin MLK into like a less than favorable character. He's going to slander him a little. That's what I expected. I expected him to bring up the alleged affairs. But I expect him to be like, yeah, he's great, but he was flawed. They're just like, no, not only was he flawed, he was not great. He was he was called the Antichrist multiple times on this. It was absolutely disgusting. And for Shrubmaster, who took off out of here, who said earlier when he came on that Charlie Kirk would dust me in a debate. I just want to point out that Charlie Kirk has no ability to debate. Charlie Kirk is simply a propagandist, and he does very poorly when he doesn't perform in front of a crowd that was there to see him. When it is not a crowd for Charlie Kirk gets dunked on. I would refer anybody to go watch Sam Cedar debate Charlie Kirk at Politicon. It's one of the biggest beatdowns of a debate that I've ever seen in my life. But Charlie Kirk is scum.
And my take on that is I don't debate there's no debate against white nationalism. I categorically, dude, I don't need to debate a white nationalist. Like, why should I?
Yeah.
About what? Yeah. About them rewriting history? No thanks. I don't think so. That's the problem with debate. Like, it's the belief that any stance has a right to be debated. No. He shouldn't even have a platform to speak out loud. Like, that's
and I don't and that's the that's the problem.
I'm not acknowledging it as it's I don't like to swear, but I almost said something. It's completely worthless.
Swear.
I take that issue with debate. When I say the debate is rooted in white supremacy and patriarchy, that's what it is. You can bring this BS that disparages minority communities that have worked hard for equality and equity in both. We had learned that Lauren Boebert thinks that we shouldn't have both of those things in this country, but we are working hard towards equity. And to think that any position can just be debated in terms of whether or not equity should exist in this country, or if a civil rights leader is valid, like this is where we're at, is that this should be debated. Yeah, no.
When Republicans send their people, they're not sending their best. They're sending their racists, their grapists.
Yeah, you want to debate me about if you're racist? Educated. No.
Yeah. Speaking of poorly educated, speaking of white nationalists, speaking of grapists, Donald Trump won the Iowa caucus last night in what he's calling some sort of landslide. I saw something interesting before we get into him. I added it at the end. But while this was probably closer than Trump would have liked, the turning point, this is from Steve Kornacki.
He said he was alluding online to getting 95% of the vote.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember that? I remember when he said that. Then he was trying to walk it back and be like, oh, it's too cold and people are going to show up. Like, what? You got 51%. You said that you said, oh, it's closer to 95. I heard you say that in one of your speeches 3 days ago.
I'd like to point out that I don't know what the temperatures were. I heard 30 below.
Oh, it was cold. With wind chill, there's no mountains. The northern jet stream tears through there.
The video you showed of Vivek, he was in a t-shirt outside.
When the sign fell on him?
Yeah. How cold was it? If he's outside in a
Vivek was
t-shirt?
having a bad day. He was in fight or flight. The amount, he was probably very warm. Like, that man had the worst day of his life, and it just got worse and worse.
Yeah, that was a tough day. But one thing, Steve Kornacki put out this chart of the poll numbers for Donald Trump, and there was a clear shift. There was a clear rally in Iowa around Donald Trump, and it happened in March of 2023. That's when he really took the lead. The day his indictments dropped. The biggest reason that Donald Trump seems to have won Iowa is because he was indicted. How crazy is that? That's, again, I consistently think, I mentioned it yesterday, but that report that was done after the 2012 election and Republicans are like, here's what we need to do. They're like, no, we just need a criminal. We need to be more open about our white nationalism, and we need a criminal. And look, 14% of registered Republican voters showed up in the Iowa caucuses. By the way, remember yesterday when we were talking about writing on cardboard? Do you know how these works? There's a person walking around with a paper bag, and people write the name of what candidate they want, and they drop it in a paper bag for a party that is desperate for election security. I think.
Does anyone notice that no questioning of election? Well, Ron DeSantis, I don't know if you saw, Ron DeSantis claimed foul. You know, he thinks this election was stolen. But like, it's just amazing to me when Donald Trump wins, we don't have to hear anything about election integrity, nothing about the election being stolen. This was fine, right? People writing on pieces of paper and throwing them in paper bags, completely secure because Donald Trump won. But 30% of his 56 or 33% of his voters said if he's convicted, they won't vote for him. Think how conservative Iowa is.
Yeah.
33% of his voters that voted for Trump are saying if he's convicted, that's a no-go.
Well, there were some
In
other
conservative Iowa, and they're going to run him as the Republican candidate around the country in less conservative places. That's crazy.
There were some interesting numbers that came out of there as well. So Donald Trump wins with was it final at 51%? Did they finalize the
Yeah.
number?
Yeah,
I think so.
56,260 votes total.
But 68% of caucus goers said that the election was stolen. So that's at least 17% of people who believe that the election was stolen not voting for Donald Trump. Again, you have another 30% that will not vote for him if he is convicted. And you made a good point. Like, Iowa is different. Iowa Republicans are different. I don't think that if you're Donald Trump, you should come away with this feeling like you have everything locked down. Although he was funny. I do have to give him a little bit of credit. When he was talking about the results, he's like, I hope Ron and Nikki had a fun time in Iowa. Like, I hope they had a fun time running around in Iowa. Just like completely dismissed them as campaigns. But one of those two people needs to step down immediately. And I don't know. I don't know if DeSantis can survive a loss in New Hampshire. They're splitting the votes, so they each get 4, and I think Trump gets 20. Is that how that worked out? So Trump's lead.
No, I think they both get 8. Or hold on.
I think they split the 8. I think they each get 4 because they virtually tied. Why does Iowa matter so much? It doesn't matter that much. It's a small state, but they're first. That's why it matters. And then we go to New Hampshire, and then I forgot Nevada is before. Nevada is now before South Carolina. It used to go New Hampshire, South Carolina, but we'll have Nevada before South Carolina, which Trump seems to have a huge lead there. So you imagine Nikki Haley could legitimately win New Hampshire. There's a chance there. If she doesn't win, she will be in second place by miles. Ron DeSantis is in 5th, despite only 3 people being in the race.
Ron DeSantis got 9 delegates. Nikki got 8.
Where did I see
Trump
4
got
and
20
4?
delegates. Ron DeSantis got 9. Nikki got 8. I just want to make sure we get.
Man, I got bad information. Yeah, I saw 4 and 4. I don't remember where I saw that.
This is from the New York Times. I screenshotted it this morning.
Mine was from Charlie.
So 29-8.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Good correction there. I thought they had split votes. So DeSantis had a slightly beat Nikki Haley when it all came down.
Which was expected. Iowans, are they going to vote for a woman? Then yeah.
Well, their governor's a woman.
It was
Maybe she thought there was hope.
Well, no, Kim Reynolds is out of her. Kim Reynolds falling on her sword yesterday too. She's out there saying, "Oh, even though it's so funny." Ron Filipkowski, who's the editor in chief of Midas Touch, he was saying like he had this great post. I didn't put it in the outline, but I have the 2 clips he's talking about. It's Chris Sununu, who's the governor of New Hampshire, and Kim Reynolds, who's the governor of Iowa, who Trump has spent the last couple weeks just dragging, disparaging. Chris Sununu, like this was yesterday. So the night before, Trump is dragging Chris Sununu on Truth Social, and the next day, both of them are just sitting there, delusionally saying, "Oh yeah, I'll back Trump if he's the candidate." And they're like, I mean, after what he's done, like, are you acknowledging what he's done to you? They're like, "I will back Trump if he's the candidate." And Ron Filipkowski's like, I didn't leave the Republican Party because of Trump. I left the Republican Party because of these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, the cowards.
Yeah, the cowards. Exactly.
That's the problem with some of the, like, I get it. I was watching, I went back and I watched something. I don't remember what I saw on Twitter. I saw something on Twitter that reminded me of Mitch McConnell during the impeachment hearing. And I had forgotten that during the second impeachment hearing, Mitch McConnell, after receiving the articles of impeachment from the House, sent the Senate on recess and would not reconvene the Senate. And he only reconvened the Senate on Inauguration Day, and he waited, he pushed the vote And then he had a fiery speech saying that Donald Trump was absolutely responsible for the violence on January 6th, but because Joe Biden had been sworn in, he was no longer able to impeach him. He cited, I think it's Article 2, Section 2, or Article 2, Section 3, I can't remember which one, and he cited that. And I had forgotten all about that. And it's just a reminder of what the Republican Party did for Donald Trump. How they are willing to go against anything that they believe as long as they can remain in power. And that is something that I think in this country is anti-American. It's anti what we stand for. For the entirety of our country, generally speaking, what happened with parties when we had big changes is there were people inside of the party who were willing to stand up to corruption. And in the modern Republican Party, there's essentially been one, and that two. You had John McCain and you had Mitt Romney. That's it.
Well,
Everybody
and then you had
else that
Adam
stood up
Kinzinger,
left.
Liz Cheney. Yeah, then they leave. They get
Yeah.
forced out or they leave. Look at Ken Buck. Ken Buck finally had a line and said, "No, I'm not going to impeach Biden." He had his office in Colorado attacked. He retired because of it. Now Boebert's running in that district. They've had so many people retired. They have what, like a 1-2 seat majority right now? It's so slim because Mike Pence's brother just retired. I think he was the last one. Anyone who has any sense of right and wrong is just being forced out.
Yeah, and it's disappointing to see some of these people who you think are going to finally stand up, they just coalesce. Like, if you're a Republican and you are not a Trump Republican, you should say, I will not support him in the primary. And you should have the courage to not go down the route of fascism. You should have the courage to lose an election. And I'm not saying that as somebody that's like super excited about Joe Biden. I would love an election between two really good candidates. That's ideal for me. That's like corn to me.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would love if you had like spirited debates between educated people. I would like to see
This is America.
I would like
Don't
to
get your
see this
hopes
new
up.
version of Ron DeSantis debate Gavin Newsom. As much as I despise Ron DeSantis, at least there would be substance. There would be something. But the Republican Party now is literally just all lies. You go watch Donald Trump's rally. It is almost 100% lies. And you guys know this. You Republicans absolutely know this. You know that these are lies, or at the very least, you know that nothing he says is provable, but you don't care because you think at some point, something magic is going to happen. Suddenly the world, I don't know if you think an asteroid is going to hit and what facts will completely change. I don't know what you guys are fucking waiting for at this point, but these are lies. They've been told for 7 years now. None of them are coming true, and you're doubling down on them. And it's sad. I watched a debate this morning between a father and a daughter, and just watching this daughter plead with her dad to stop believing crazy shit. And she had made some inroads. Yeah. She had made some inroads, like with abortion. But she had to explain to him it wasn't enough that she said, "Dad, I don't have the right to choose what I want with my own body." She had to go to him and be like, "Dad, imagine it was your body. Imagine the government was telling you that you had to get a vaccine." She had to turn it around. She had to go down his conspiracy rabbit hole about a lie just to get him to understand that his daughter, has rights.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 55. Oh, wait, we're almost at 55K. Let's get to 60K. I need to play. So this is going to go along with what you're saying. I just want to. This video came from the Young Turks, and this is yesterday Iowa caucus voters just being asked, I just prepare yourself for the most disturbing thing you've ever heard.
I'm going to start laughing maniacally today because I don't want to be sad.
You're good. Either prepare to laugh or cry. But let's tap the screen. Take your anger out on the screen. Let's get some Republicans up here. We just want to know if you agree with what these folks, these Iowa voters, are saying in this video.
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of President Biden reelected?
You don't have to like the words that come out of the man's mouth, but sometimes in life we all need a good paddling from the principal to set our life on the right track. And this country does need a little bit of that. We need a little paddling.
He's saying that he wants Trump to spank him. Just in case anybody is missing what's happening here, this man says he's fine with Trump being a dictator and he needs to be spanked by Trump sometimes.
Paddle me, daddy.
This
Paddle
is
me, daddy.
yeah, we're going to go ahead and hear it again. I'm just going to make sure the volume's all the way up. This is what's going on in Iowa. This is one of the 56,260 people who have lost their minds in Iowa. This man wants Trump to spank him. Let's just do it again. Please tap the screen.
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of President Biden reelected?
You know, you don't have to like the words that come out of the man's mouth, but sometimes in life we all need a good paddling from the principal to set our life on the right track. And this country does need a little bit of that. We need a little paddling. I mean, I was a problem child growing up, and it took a good leadership to set me straight. So I think our country does need some of that. So I hands down believe people wanted it 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Could you pause that real quick? I'd just like to point out that a grown-ass man is saying, like, hey, I was a problem child, but I got spanked, and now look at me. I'm a grown man begging to be spanked. Like that.
By Donald Trump.
He's not showing himself to be a well-adjusted person. He's showing himself to be a person that demands abuse to do the right thing. Like, I don't know why this guy thinks this is a flex. He's just like, paddle me, daddy.
This is why I see half the Republican Party has a humiliation degradation kink, and the other half are the malignant narcissists.
Listen, I've seen some
that
of your
they
DMs.
want to spank them.
Yeah, I'm aware of the degradation kink, and the only people you might be the only person. I can make a whole
side business spanking Republican men.
Hey, look, if you lose your conscience at some point and you just want to make some money, you'll be set. You'll just be paddling bums, and maybe get this guy's name because he's for sure going to be a customer.
Yeah, this guy, you guys, it goes down. It gets just. This is not the only guy that has something to say here.
Didn't vote that way, right?
I don't know about that.
You think it was a stolen election?
Without a doubt.
The other day, Donald Trump said on his first day he's going to be a dictator for a day.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Would you rather have Donald Trump as a dictator
Can you mute that for 1
years
second? Sorry to
re-elect
keep
Joe
interrupting.
Biden for 4 years?
I would rather have.
What?
Sorry to keep interrupting, but I just, again, this is the craziness of the Republican Party. This is a typical answer. Do you believe the election was stolen? Not, well, I've seen some evidence. They say the same shit without a doubt.
Well, 82%, I think, at the end of the night, wasn't it? Well, Trump said 82. I saw 68. I don't know what the final number is of the people who said on that the election, they didn't trust the result of the 2020 election. Like, these are the people.
If you say anything in your life, if you say something, you believe something without a doubt, despite not having the evidence to prove it, what you believe is probably part of a cult. You can't believe something without a doubt that there's not evidence enough to prove. Even if I granted you that some of the evidence that you think is true about the election being stolen, even if I granted you some of it, you can't say without a doubt. You can't say that. That's the shit that's fucking insane that we just pretend is normal with Republicans now.
No, it's a cult.
I believe it 100%. It's so reminiscent of my childhood, sitting in sacrament meeting and watching person after person go up and bear testimony and say word for word, I know this church is true. I know President Gordon B. Hinckley is a true prophet. I know Joseph Smith restored the gospel of Jesus Christ and put it on this world for the second coming of Jesus. No, you don't know any of that.
Praise him.
You didn't know any of that. Those are just things that you think and you hope. And instead of being honest and saying, I think and I hope, and because I really don't want to admit that Donald Trump is a piece of shit, I'm going to use colorful language of, I know without a doubt, because then you get to you get to push people off. They're like, hey, I got a question about that. And you're like, no, I already know. I'm not listening to you. It allows you to just turn your fucking brain off, which is what Donald Trump has done to Republicans. He's just like, hey, could you guys kindly please turn off your brains for the next 8 years? Got it!
I have it bookmarked somewhere. I told you about like that this woman that makes content about cults, like she's like a sociologist on TikTok, was saying that they've actually found that people in cults, your brain actually shuts off when you're faced with information that's incongruent with beliefs. So they're not sure like if that's a result, if you make yourself that way by being in the cult, or if you're predisposed to being in a cult because your brain is like that. Like it's like a chicken or the egg thing.
I think it's the cult because I came out of that. Like
Yeah, no, I
I
agree
left
with you.
that,
I'll
and,
let
and it
lie.
allowed me to like I thought that I would if had I not left my cult, I would be doing great on TikTok as a MAGA as a MAGA spokesperson. I would be I would be doing great. I would probably be making a lot of money. I would have a big following because I was all in and I can read and write, which puts me in the top 1% of MAGA influencers. Like I'm literate, so I win.
Okay. Okay, so this is a new man. We've moved on from the man who would like Trump to paddle him. Okay, so this is a new Iowa voter now. Tap the screen while we learn. Just brace yourself.
Without a doubt.
The other day, Donald Trump said on his first day he's going to be a dictator for a day.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Would you rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years or re-elect Joe Biden for 4 years?
I would rather have Donald Trump. I'd like to see the repeal the Roosevelt law so that he can be a president for a lot more than 4 years. But this country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
Donald Trump.
Does anybody hear this? This man said he'd rather us be in a dictatorship with no freedom, no democracy, no votes, than have democracy under Joe Biden for 4 years. He said we need a dictator. He wants to repeal the Roosevelt law so Donald Trump can remain in power forever.
Again, this is where the brain goes when you're in a cult and you don't want to accept reality. Reality is the reason that this person thinks we need a dictator is because gay people can be on TV, because trans people exist.
That's what they're saying.
Because CRT, because DEI, and they're so afraid of these new things. It scares them so much that their only option in their head is a dictator. They can no longer expect the government to keep people from being themselves and being in public, and that scares them so much that they're like, I desperately need a dictator. And I could understand people saying we needed a dictator or suspending the Constitution or suspending an election if we were in the middle of like a world war. There are ways, like you potentially could suspend an election. You potentially could leave a president in office a little bit longer if you're in the middle of a massive like
Maybe an
land war.
alien invasion.
Correct. But what we're talking about here is like children using a different pronoun, and you're like, oh my God, I have to have a dictator for this. I have to have a dictator because I can't handle this.
I mean, literally, their worldview is spinning out of control. Change is hard. That is the empathetic side. Like, see that these people are literally saying the world makes so little sense to me, right? The economy is going so bad. Scarcity in the economy is increasing. All these things scare me. I'm like the world's spinning out of control. I want to give all of my control, all of my free ability to critically think and make decisions, my vote in this country, the right for my vote to be counted. I want to dissolve that right and give it over to Donald Trump.
And
that's where we're at here.
A little bit of
56,260 people.
A little bit of chum in the water for my MAGA folks. Just for us that are on the left, imagine if during this time when all of these MAGAs and let's just say the non-MAGA, like the regular ass conservatives who are afraid. Imagine if we had a president and a leader who could articulate hope, who could articulate a plan forward. Now, those of us that know what Biden is doing, we can figure it out, but we do have to figure it out. And so I will say to Democrats, like, we did fuck this up a little bit. We could have had better. We could have had a real leader, somebody who could communicate a message and get that across to people across this country who are terrified and don't know why. But instead we have Joe Biden, and that's what sucks. Is because we gotta just hope and pray every day that Joe Biden puts those sentences together correctly and that he can offer some sort of hope, and he's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. It really sucks that in 2020, this November, I'll be casting a vote for a man who I don't believe will live through another term and certainly isn't going to lead through another term. He has done better than anybody could have ever expected, but he's not somebody that's viewed as a leader either in this country or around the world. And by the way, either is Donald Trump.
I just want to say I disagree with that statement. Like I've read
No,
several, like, let me
no,
just say I
no.
just want to give my take. There have been articles where several like most of the world leaders, the ones that in the Western civilization have said that they view Joe Biden as a leader and they respect him. And I am tired of, listen, here's the difference is Donald Trump can ramble. He was rambling and incoherent last night. Like watch his speeches. He's not saying anything. He says the same crap all over again. He's saying, oh, they're not sending their best. I had to hear, oh, they're emptying insane asylums. We debunked that in 2017. We are still here. He's repeating the same words. All we have from Joe Biden are actions. Bottom line, to say Joe Biden isn't a leader, I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. I think he's about actions. But yes, his messaging could be stronger. But I do think this is, especially for someone who, how old is he, 80, 81?
82? Is he 82 now?
I think he's 81. I don't know. But for someone over 80, I think that we're at a place where this is a marathon, 81. Not a sprint. And when he needs to turn it on, he's going to turn it on like we saw in the last State of the Union. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to sit there and say there's no hope and Joe Biden can't communicate. But I think what we need to do is tell the message for him. Like, what's his name? J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, sort of like Newsom did. He was kind of like the spin room guy last night, and he was tearing it up because the numbers speak for themselves. Like the story is there of what Joe Biden has done. It's irrefutable. And maybe we need more ambassadors like J.B. Pritzker, like the governor of Minnesota, who was also, I saw him on a couple things. He was amazing last night. Gavin Newsom. Like, yeah, maybe we need standard bearers. We need to all spread that message, but the work speaks for itself.
That part I agree with, and I think that Joe Biden's effectiveness is mostly because
Tim Walz, thank you.
He has built a reputation over 40 or 50 years of exactly what you're talking about, somebody who gets things done. He's never been a talented orator, never. Even at his best, he was not a talented orator. What I'm saying is, I think we would have somebody who could speak to more. We could have had somebody who speaks to more Americans. I don't know that Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, any of them. I don't know. In fact, I would doubt that any one of them would have been a more effective president than Joe Biden. Joe Biden, his ability to get things done is unmatched. And I think someone said this in the Discord. I can't remember who said that.
Absolutely.
Said, he will go down as one of the most effective presidents of all time, whether it's one term or 2 terms. He will. There's no question about that. I'm simply talking about the messaging, that I wish we had somebody who could deliver a message of hope to voters who are concerned and resign themselves to, well, at the very least, Trump isn't afraid to like blast the shit out of another country. Right? Like at the very least, Donald Trump will be tough. And there are people who there's like the diehard Trumpers, and then there's those people in the middle that are like, look, we just don't trust Joe Biden. He doesn't deliver a good message. And most people are going to see 5 minutes of Joe Biden at most a week. But you're right about that. It's our job as citizens, yours and mine as people who host lives, and those who are out and about. Like it's our job to be open and to celebrate those Joe Biden wins. So I didn't want to be like a total downer. I just think that as an orator, it would be nice if we had somebody else right now that could deliver a better message.
But yeah, I totally agree. But I think that's what we're going to see more of. We're going to see governors, which I think is great for the Democratic Party, because I think what the Democratic Party is doing amazing is it's not just about who's in the White House for us, right? We have these amazing Democratic governors who are running states in the Midwest, in Kentucky. We have Andy Beshear in Kentucky tearing
there he
up.
is.
We have Tim Walz in Minnesota. Everything he says, I might be moving to Minnesota. You know, we have Whitmer, Michigan, just amazing. And all of these people, when I saw J.B. Pritzker last night, I get it now, Illinois. I understand why you're voting for that guy. That guy is a force. when he's
I don't
speaking.
think we should leave out Katie Hobbs. Katie Hobbs.
Oh, I
yeah.
love Katie Hobbs. Walk
She's done
softly
great.
and carry a big stick. Like Katie Hobbs is over here single-handedly like defending women's rights, people with uteruses, rights in this state. Like that woman is the thin line between us and in an abortion ban. Like Katie Hobbs is amazing. The governor of New Mexico, who's like name slips my mind, also amazing. But I think we just need to see more of these people loudly selling what Joe Biden has done, how he has turned the economy around. Because Trump, like I said, Fox has pivoted. Fox is no longer saying Joe Biden ran the economy into the ground because it's not true, right? Now they're saying, oh, they're fixing the economy. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, is helping Joe Biden rig the economy. That's
Suddenly
why
the
it's
Fed
so
is
good.
the hero.
It's been rigged for the Jerome Powell, who's never got along with Joe Biden in his life, is suddenly secretly doing backdoor deals with Joe Biden.
Jerome Powell, who kept rates way too low for way too long. Yeah, that Jerome Powell is desperate to get rates lower.
Antichrist.
Yeah, he wants rates to be lower, but there's like still a sense of him. He's still at the like, you might not like Jerome Powell, but he does understand economics. He does understand the impact of interest rates.
We have way too many available jobs in this country.
Unemployment at 2%. Let's get that to 8%. Let's go.
He's like, let's go. Too many jobs here. But so we can't say anymore that Joe Biden doesn't have the record. He has it, and we all need to do our job of spreading the message, right?
I agree. I know that I have something on here that you haven't seen yet.
Okay, great.
So I would like you to just click on number 61. I have titled this "Ted Cruz proves he's the biggest see you next Tuesday on Earth." Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
there
well,
were so many
excited for you to
people in
read
Congress
this tweet.
embarrassing them. Oh
Just
my
read
God.
this tweet today.
I thought that was Ted Cruz.
Freezing, by the way.
Texans with the freeze coming. Wrap your pipes. Cover your Cancun Cruz has a message for everyone.
Oh, keep going.
Texans with the freeze coming. Wrap your pipes. Cover your plants. Stay off icy roads and keep your family safe. And if it gets too damn cold, join me in Cancun. This man is awful. Texas, if you have a former NFL player turned lawyer who went to law school with my brother at Berkeley. If you don't elect, what's his name, Colin Allred, that man is amazing. Ted Cruz is joking about leaving you guys to freeze to death.
Just to be clear, one of our moderators, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to tell people where people live. We have a moderator who's in Texas. They spent their morning under their house with a hairdryer.
Oh my God.
Heating their pipes. They're under their house heating their pipes. And Cancun Cruz comes in. First of all, Texans with freezing coming. Wrap your pipes, cover your plants,
and stay off pipes.
Yeah, like
with
this
what?
This is 10 o'clock at night that he sends this. By the way, a little late. And then he's like, "Hey, remember that one time I abandoned you guys and went to Cancun, and it was a huge failure. It was embarrassing. I'm going to reference that again. I just want you all to remember that I am a giant douchebag."
Colin Allred. That man is competent. He's a litigator. He's fundraising well. Let's go, Colin. It's time for Ted. Ted Cruz has his podcast. We know what Ted Cruz's chosen profession is, right? He wants to do his podcast. Let's let him go do it. And he's not saying he's saying join me in Cancun. Ted Cruz will be in Cancun apparently.
For all of you who are in Texas, though, please take care of yourselves. For all of you everywhere, please take care of yourselves.
My sister lives in Dallas.
Yeah, this is. I saw. I don't remember who the reporting was even from. I saw that we now, we have the hottest 12 months on record. And just remember that this extreme weather that we're having, this is for Republicans in here, because all the liberals know this. This is that thing that we used to call global warming that we now call climate change. These extreme changes in their climate, that's due to us. So let's continue to advocate for green energy policies. But those of you that are in the Midwest, I saw today that every single state in the United States has a warning, or the continental United States has a warning for an extreme
Polar vortex.
weather issue, except for Arizona. We're the only ones, but every other state has warnings for extreme weather issues.
Yeah, well, it will be 130 in March here, so we don't. You know what I mean? We've got our own problems going on.
March.
It will. It's already coming. I'm already depressed because summer's coming and we can't go outside anymore. Okay, so not just Ted Cruz. There were so many people in Congress out of control because of the Iowa caucus and MLK Day. Like, one was, of course, Margarine. Margarine was.
This will be good. She'll have something smart to say.
No, she will not. She never does. I just want to say, so she was stumping for Trump in some small town in Iowa. She, and saying things, basically, I'm not going to play the clips because Jay's already on his backup. Again, tap the screen and follow Jay's backup. But, she was yelling anti-trans rhetoric. She was screaming, and I quote, "Trump will start mass deportations on day one, and I can't wait to see it happen." She was gleefully screaming about this stuff. I don't even know if the crowd liked it or not. I don't think they were with her.
Her cruelty.
She yelled, "Under President Trump, there were only two genders." Screaming this stuff.
Nothing makes her happier than being cruel. That's the part about her. Like Bobo, nothing makes her happier than being confidently dumb. But for real, Marjorie Taylor Greene is just like she will be monotone until she has an opportunity to be cruel, till she has the opportunity to really be disgusting, and then that's what elevates her cortisol levels.
Yeah,
she
you
loves
hear it in her
that.
voice.
Lives for it.
It's like she just that or the Hunter's corn. That's like, you know what I mean? It's like next level for her.
There we go. Proof. Somebody just said Bobo tweeted that global warming's fake because it's minus 30 degrees. There you go. Bobo loves being confidently stupid. It's her best trait. But Marjorie Taylor Greene likes being
extreme
cruel.
weather, both cold and hot. You can't work your way through that. It's just, if I hear that one more time, well, it's not that hot. It's cold right now, so global warming's not real. Just read some Wikipedia. Not even a book. Just read some basic Wikipedia. I just wanted to talk about section 13, right after the margin stuff.
But
Ron
Eli,
DeSantis's little meltdown.
Eli from Discord is now referring to Marjorie Taylor Greene as Dog the Bounty Hunter, and I love that so much. I needed to say that, so we can refer to her as Dog for a little bit.
Oh, I have to call her Margarine. I just do. Yeah. Okay, so I just want to talk about, Ron DeSantis's campaign manager, he tweeted, this was at 6:51, because if you noticed, they called the Iowa caucus for Trump, 5 minutes in? Or
Yeah.
It started, and then the New York Times, I don't know, I get New York Times updates, literally it started, and then they're like, Trump won.
Well, they have
5 minutes.
They basically know, they have internal polling during these. Just everybody knows when you're there what's happening. During these caucuses, basically the rooms will separate, and you'll have a group of people that are going to vote for Trump, and everybody will have their surrogates, and the room will be divided into surrogates for each group, and you'll see it's very obvious during these caucuses, especially one like this. You know who's going to win. I know people are upset about the early call, but there's news people in every single one of these caucuses. They knew as soon as it opened who had won, just because they can see the crowd. I don't think that and what did they have to count? 87 votes? How many votes were there? 14,000, 17,000? How many votes were there?
Trump got 56,260.
Sorry, per caucus. I think it was I can't remember what it was broken down as.
I don't know.
8,000 or something. Yeah, it wasn't hard to do.
So at 6:51, DeSantis's communications director, Andrew Romero, thank you, tweeted, absolutely outrageous that the media would participate in election interference by calling the race. This is Trump's retribution for starting all this. By calling the race before tens of thousands of Iowans even had a chance to vote. The media is in the tank for Trump, and this is the most egregious example yet. Yeah, then they put out like another message about it. And then let me click on this next one because
While you're
there's
clicking
more.
that is so stupid. The media hates Trump. Fox News is not in the tank for Trump. They want him to go away. CNN, MSNBC, NBC, this is the problem with being a Republican now, is that you've been conditioned that everything that you can't explain or everything that seems off to you is a conspiracy. No media company wants Trump to win. Trump is winning despite all the major news media apparatuses not being on his side. He has OAN, he has Newsmax, but at this point, Ron DeSantis sounds pretty stupid saying that they're in the tank for Trump, because Fox News is absolutely in the tank for Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley or anybody.
I think it's half and half.
Well,
like if you're
we're
talking about the hosts, yeah,
but the people
it's
running
50-50.
the organizations.
Oh, but Rupert Murdoch does not want Trump to win.
Yeah.
Which I think, yeah, I agree. Just him, yeah, you can see that. But so
good point by
this is
Guerrilla
now-
Radio too. More clicks for Trump. That's also true. No matter what you report negatively or positively against Trump, you're going to get clicks. That's a good point.
There's no bad press, as we say in marketing. All press is good press if you can stand it. So Jeremy Redfern, who I believe is DeSantis's press secretary, at 6:53, so this is 2 minutes after Andrew Romero, then tweeted, "I'm at a precinct that hasn't even voted yet, and the media are trying to call the race for Trump." And then, like, Jenna Ellis, because, it's so ironic. Jenna Ellis is going, well, now she's flipped, but, Jenna Ellis is caught up in a RICO case because she was flitting around the country in the fake elector scheme with Rudy Colludi, or co-conspirator one, as I love to call him. And now she's so far in the tank for DeSantis, it's unbelievable. So she responds to Jeremy Redfern and says, this is actually funny because it's hilarious, because she's right. She goes, I think the Trump camp was mad last time the media called an election this early. Because remember, Fox called Arizona for Biden and Trump lost his mind.
Yeah. Because he knew this was part of the plan. Part of the plan was that he would he would be able to say that he won as long as he possibly could in each state until they started counting mail-in ballots. And even though that lead, he couldn't let go. At the point when they called Arizona for Biden, that was Trump's last hope. That's why he was mad. They didn't call Arizona early. It was days later.
Oh yeah, no, they gave him as long as possible.
I think we had 70 or 80% of the
Fox
vote
didn't
in.
want to do it. They knew, and when you read the J6 transcripts, people were saying Fox knew, or not the J6 transcripts, the Fox defamation lawsuit
Dominion.
stuff. Dominion.
That word hates your brain. It won't stay in there.
Yeah, sorry. They knew, they were waiting, they didn't want to call Arizona, but they knew statistically, because Fox has some of the most comprehensive election software and statisticians working there.
They're great.
They knew that Biden had won the election and they were doing everything to wait before they called it. So then the next funny thing, because what was happening on Twitter when they called it for Trump was this immediate clash between DeSantis Republicans and Trump Republicans. And Thomas Massey, if you remember, Thomas Massey, also a misogynist, recently attacked a CNN reporter, which I just have to keep mentioning because it was so vile.
Get him, Thomas.
He has been DeSantis's left-hand man, and Chip Roy has been flanking him on the other side. So right when this is
They take
happening,
turns.
that Thomas Massey is tweeting results for Polk City 1, where I spoke, because he was speaking for DeSantis at this one place. And he writes, DeSantis 54, Trump 53, Haley 27, Vivek 12. And this Trump supporter responds, Massey, stop embarrassing yourself with the actual totals.
Yeah, I saw what did
Which
Massey...
is Trump 36, DeSantis 31, Haley 26. Thomas Massey just made up wild numbers that would support DeSantis that were a complete lie.
So sorry, it's asking these trolls if any mods to kick them for talking about Nina. I don't know what you're talking about. Message one of the trolls. Sorry there. Yeah,
The trolls? You're the mods.
they're falling apart. John Cardillo, he was a former NYPD officer, I think. He sucks. But he's a big Ron DeSantis fan. He tweeted out yesterday, and this got picked up by a bunch. I think Jenna Ellis might have retweeted. Let me find
Jenna
it.
Ellis was all. I mean, you think she'd be worried about like her own life? Jenna Ellis was all up. She probably tweeted thousands of times last night.
Yeah, so Trump is now inevitable, and we will now inevitably lose the general and the House. Get ready for a very rough 8 years of far left Dems. Cool.
Wouldn't it just be?
Get ready. Yeah. You're going to love it, by the way. You're actually going to really like it. You're not going to like losing, but you're going to like the results. I guarantee.
And and another Margarine thing, just because I just need to keep highlighting the Margarine was up to yesterday. One of her first tweets yesterday at 1:31 p.m. was, I can't even do it. Too bad Ethan's not here. He would love this. I'm sure Ethan saw this tweet. Remember the guy that we debate that's obsessed with WEF, the world? Yeah. So Margarine tweets at 1:31, it's no coincidence that the World Economic Forum kicks off in Davos the same day as the Iowa caucus. What? They're enemies of President Trump and America. Okay, Margarine, like, this is what she's saying.
What's the
before she
coincidence?
goes on an anti-trans, like, anti-immigrant, like, rant. That was her contribution to stumping for Trump, was just being a bigot.
What's the it's no coincidence? What does she think they're doing? I'd like to know.
Exactly.
What does she think?
It makes no sense. Ethan, if you're here, can you explain to us?
This is what we talked about this 10 minutes ago. They just anything they can that they can't, like, they don't really know how to explain, which is why two things were scheduled on the same day in a world full of billions of people, and where America is the Iowa caucus. Sorry, it is not what the world cares about most right now. And the World Economic Forum 100% did not care or even think about, is there a caucus going on tonight, when they scheduled that event. But Marjorie Taylor Greene has to figure out some way to enrage people and again, just keep everybody angry, keep everybody believing it's a conspiracy theory, so that we can rage on and Marjorie Taylor Greene can sell her Connect the Dots book or whatever the fuck her book is.
No, another crazy one. Jack Posobiec. Jack Poso.
Great American patriot, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Trump MAGA podcaster. So he tweets, 2025, Fani Willis arrested, Alvin Bragg arrested, Jack Smith arrested, Merrick Garland arrested, Victoria Nuland arrested. This is at 11:54 p.m. Like, this is his dream now that Trump won the Iowa caucus. So Ron Filipkowski responds and is like, 56,000 Iowans voted for Trump. That's 0.000168% of the population of the country. But the internet dudes are already picking out the drapes for the new concentration camps.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Why are you going after Jack Smith? Because he's doing literally the job he was hired to do. It's not like Jack Smith came to the United States government and said, hey, I really want to go after this Trump guy. They said, hey, this is your job. Your job is to investigate Donald Trump. And he did it. And it again, I don't get it, Republicans. Somebody, if there's anybody in here, please explain to me your problem with Jack Smith. Just come up, let's talk about it. Why should Jack Smith be talked about in this way? Why should people be advocating that he go to jail? And what's your problem with him? What has Jack Smith done wrong? Where's the corruption from Jack Smith? I would like you to show me one single solitary thing that Jack Smith has done wrong that warrants this kind of hatred and vitriol. And if you can't give me an answer, then the answer is you're in a cult. That's the answer. And that's the real answer. And that's what this is about. It's about demonizing the people who just either disagree with you or expose you. And if you don't have a real good defense for that, you just claim that they are demons, that they're P3DOs, that they're Marxists, that they're communists, that they're socialists, despite you not knowing what any of those words mean. That's the entire identity of being a Republican at these points.
And the other point, like this goes also to Fani Willis. Like he's yelling about Fani Willis, which Fani Willis also makes the point. So Fani Willis, again, with no evidence, Michael Roman's lawyer just made wild claims in a brief or in a court filing with no evidence against Fani Willis and another contracted prosecutor who both happen to be African Americans, right?
Yeah.
There's two other contracted attorneys that Fani Willis hired to do the same job as the African American man. Why are they not being questioned? Why is it only the African American contracted prosecutor? There's two other prosecutors she contracted. Never a mention of them. And they made wild accusations, provided no evidence, floated it out there again to disparage African Americans.
And the damage is done. And this is what has become, this is how a propaganda machine works. You put out the propaganda first, and then once the propaganda is out there and it's refuted, then you just say the news is fake. It's fake. It's fake news. They're lying to cover it up. Why didn't they tell us about this beforehand? It's all narrative driven. I haven't seen. I've looked. I haven't seen any evidence that this relationship even exists. They say they have a source, but the source is unnamed. I've heard nobody confirm it. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but nobody's confirmed it. And yet, if this turns out to be completely fake, Republicans will never know. They'll be saying this forever.
I want to read this. So this is a great point. So let's assume, for argument's sake, that the allegations against D.A. Willis are true. D.A. Willis is being accused of engaging in a consensual adult relationship. It is being characterized as an affair, right? It's a consensual adult relationship with a highly respected, experienced African-American attorney whom she hired in addition to two other outside attorneys who are Caucasian to join a team of internal prosecutors to investigate and prosecute this sweeping, not like any other case. Okay. Each of these three attorneys have been paid the same hourly rate, $250 per hour, for work they have actually performed. However, only the African American man has been criticized or scrutinized. People can and will legitimately disagree on whether $250 per hour is a reasonable rate in the context of this case. I can tell you for billable legal hours, that's extremely low. My brother wouldn't get out of bed for that.
Right. And if you do care about this, if you think that affairs are a problem, then I suggest that you take a look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I suggest that you take a look.
Is Fani Willis married though?
No, but I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. It's not an affair,
right? Well, I think he just got out of a marriage. I don't know if his divorce is final, but
okay, again,
I agree with you. It's not an affair. It's consenting adults. But I'm saying if you do care about affairs, if this is a big thing for you, I would recommend looking at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would recommend
they don't care. That's
looking at the accusations of Lauren Boebert. Go ahead. But no, we don't care about that. We don't care about those affairs. We don't care about Matt Gaetz' alleged affairs with
Fani Willis
underage girls.
is a single successful African American woman doing her job. Again, two other attorneys were hired besides the African American man, but we're only scrutinizing the African American man. We're only disparaging the African American man, right? This is absolutely hypocrisy. This is absolute hypocrisy. It makes no sense. And if you have, like always, if you have proof, then show it. Where is it? That's what's always missing from the Republicans. All the allegations in the world. But when it comes time, no discovery, no proof. Trump isn't even providing discovery, let alone all these side clown shows.
They never will. They never do. It's every accusation. And this is the part that's like, it's so tiring, is that every time you try and speak now with a Trump supporter, before you can ever get to common ground, you've got to sift through like 20, 30, 40, 50 things they've been told that are just outright lies that they believe. And that's the part that sucks, is that you have a base of this electorate that is so misinformed, and they're so far away from the truth that when they see the truth, it stands out to them as outrageous. They can't believe it because it's so far outside of what they've been told that they can't believe simple things like, hey, we investigated the election, every state did. We ran audits in every disputed state, and the election was the most safe and secure ever. And they're like, wait a minute, that can't possibly be true because my algorithm has been feeding me that it's stolen for 3 straight years. And that's kind of what we're now up against with the Republican Party.
Exactly.
Which is that kind of blind loyalty is why you see people like Charlie Kirk stepping out of the darkness and saying like, "Oh, mask off. I was just a white nationalist this entire time." That's why you see people like Dan Bongino. That's why you see people like your best friend Steve Bannon being like actual thought leaders in the Republican Party, because you've convinced people enough that everything is so corrupt and so distorted and so unfixable that you're desperate to reach out to men who act like strong men, people who advocate radical change, radical shifts of power. Because like we touched on at the beginning, you're so afraid of this world that you think exists that doesn't even exist. Like you live in a fantasy world that gets you so upset that you think that only these people can fix this fake world that you think that you live in.
Yeah, and let's do a little something light, since this is it's getting heavy. Another game I was playing yesterday all day. Where in Iowa is Donald Trump Jr.? He disappeared. Did you know that? Donald Trump Jr.
No.
disappeared, which is at Ron Filipkowski, like in true Ron Filipkowski's form, because they're in real time. Donald Trump Jr. is supposed to be stumping for his dad, like Margarine was. He was supposed to show up at a caucus event. 2 hours late, they still can't find him. There's all these things on the internet about where's Don Jr. Rod Filipkowski's like, someone find Ronnie Jackson. If you can find Ronnie Candyman Jackson, that's where Junior is. I don't know if he ever showed up to the event, but this is pretty much par for the. If you've ever seen Junior at speaking engagements, he has a $60,000 speaking fee. He shows up, mumbles some things, and then and leaves. But fewer than 2 rows of people were left in. It's called. I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce. It's Ankeny, Ankeny, Iowa. I'm sorry. Yeah, if I'm mispronouncing, I'm sorry. On Monday, when Donald Trump Jr. was more than 2 hours late for his own event, Forbes reporter Sarah Mueller posted a photo of the empty rows of chairs, explaining that at 2 p.m. the room was packed with people. Iowa caucus voters evidently didn't want to wait around, knowing they had to prepare for the caucus event. Mueller explained that the excuse was weather complications. Even his father, was able to make his. Yeah,
I bet it was snow.
Everybody else made their events, and he said once he finally arrived, he did speak to the mini audience, ranting that in the UK they'll throw you in jail for 2 years for misgendering someone. So, he clearly was hanging out with Ronnie, because he's supposed to be stumping for his dad in Iowa, shows up yelling about the UK. Okay,
it's good to be here. It's good to be here in London today.
Yeah, exactly. He had no idea where he was. At one point, an audience member asked if he believed Trump was anointed by God. He said, "That's not for me to decide. There's a higher power that decides that." Another person asked if Trump might run for president himself in 2020, or if Don Jr. might run for president himself in 2028. "I don't want to say no," he began. Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Save us. Save us. You know what I'm saying? This is what's going on in Iowa.
By the way, just quick 2 shout outs. 1 to Elon Musk and 2 to Dave Rubin, who loudly predicted a resounding victory for Ron DeSantis in Iowa.
Did Elon Musk?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, both of them. Elon said, I put it on there, but my guess is that, oh, no, excuse me. He said that Vivek would exceed the polls. That's what it was.
Yeah. He said Vivek was going to be like some dark horse and like surprise everyone.
My guess is that Vivek will far exceed the polls when the votes are counted. And Filipkowski tweeted at him 7%.
7%. I know. Like, oh my God.
It's at this, like, if you're listening to somebody like Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Elon Musk, and you're talking politics, I just need you to know that they can be your thought leader if you want, but they don't have a goddamn clue how politics work. They don't have, like, Tim Pool said that Donald Trump was going to win 49 states in 2020. That was his prediction. 49, maybe 50, but he said to be safe, let's just say 49. Dave Rubin, same thing, massive red wave. could be 40 states for Donald Trump. Like, these people do not know anything about politics. They have no, it's further proof that most of the commentators on the right, I would say almost all, are just driven by what they want to happen and what their emotions tell them. Facts be damned. You have like Ben Shapiro is like the shining star now because sometimes he looks at data and he's like, oh, some of the Republicans might have been wrong, and now he's like the one guy that we can hold on to on the right that like sometimes uses data.
That sometimes uses data. It's, yeah. I forgot to tell you, this morning I was going to show up to this live dressed like Tim Pool. I had a beanie on and like a black t-shirt that had like a skull and crossbones on it. And I'm wearing really baggy pants right now, but I was going to be Tim Pool, but it was too depressing. I couldn't do it. But like, have you noticed he even has like a girl? I don't know if that's his girlfriend, but he has a woman on the show that also wears a black beanie.
I've not seen her.
Okay.
If I met Tim Pool, did he get a girlfriend? Tim Pool has
finally.
He shifted his content. He's like out there giving life advice to men now.
Oh my God,
about how to date. Like this, and it's the worst advice you'll ever hear. It's basically like a dumbed down version of Fresh and Fit. Like after he had Fresh and Fit on, he has just turned into this life advice guy because he has money. I think.
Well, we should disparage your girlfriend really quick.
Okay.
Shouldn't we? Should we talk about Bobo and what she's up to? You tried to skip over her.
I guess.
Lauren Bobo.
She's doing her best.
She's being a racist.
I can fix her.
Yeah, you can. You better get on it because it's a big job. She tweeted yesterday, and she had several things. You know, it was not just one tweet about MLK Jr. yesterday, but this one, she said, Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream that we would all be equal in America. Equity had no part of that dream. It was about equality. Let's end the woke movement in America in honor of MLK Day. Meaning, let's not give African Americans any equity in this country, right?
I might not be able to fix her.
Just like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, whenever African Americans are building wealth and getting some equity, let's just burn it down. Just burn it to the ground. Learn some history, Lauren Boebert. Learn the meaning of words. Or she does know how awful these words are. Do you know what I'm saying?
I loved that picture you sent me yesterday. I think you sent this tweet with that picture.
Do you want me to try to put it up in the background and see if it works in my background?
Yeah, try. I remember probably the best depiction when I was kind of learning this stuff, the difference between equity and equality. I remember, I don't know if it was a college class, but they just had a group of people, like maybe 20 or 30 people of different races. And basically they said like, all right, we're going to have a race. And they said, okay, if you are white, you're going to start, it's a 100-yard dash. You're going to start at the 40-yard line. Right. And if you are like, and he just moved people, if your parents are wealthy, you're going to start at this yard line. And it was a really good explanation of privilege and how equality and equity aren't the same. There we go. It goes away. There you go. Leave it right there. It's backwards. But on the right, you'll see there's equality, and you'll see that they're all the same height, and only obviously the person on the baby can't see over the fence. The adult can, the child barely. But with equity, obviously, the adult doesn't need anything to stand on. Child a little bit bigger, and then the baby has a taller one. That's how we treat our children. Do we treat our children with equality? No, we treat them with equity, right? When my daughter throws a fit because she told me she wanted mac and cheese, but what she really meant was that she wanted noodles, and then she throws her mac and cheese on the floor, I don't treat her the same way I would as if like one of my friends did that. The friend would be asked to leave. My daughter, like, we'll try and figure it out. But that's and everybody has a different life situation, and that's kind of the problem I see with the Republican Party in general, is that they believe, and especially these elected leaders like Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have ascended into a position where they get paid very well for what they do. And they are compensated really well by outsiders. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and folks like this, when they get to that level, they believe that anybody can do this, and that everybody should be able to do this. And if you're not them, then that's your fault. If you're poor, it's your fault. There are no circumstances which could possibly hold anybody back because some people make it. And that's the lie that we're sold. That's the myth and the lie that we're all sold. There are plenty of things. There are plenty of people in this world who are very wealthy. I would say Elon Musk. I could not have done what Elon Musk did. But Elon Musk, there's lots of things Elon Musk can't do. Right? Like and the world values things different ways, and we don't always get a say on what characteristics are valued in our society. And some people are like, we're all born with different gifts, and it's hard to develop gifts that are against our nature. And those are the types of things that we need to look at. Not to say that we will ever have total equity, but moving towards equity in any scenario where there's glaring disparities is something that I can't believe that we argue about. I can't believe it's something that Republicans argue. That, like, we just can't do equity, guys. We can't move towards that. That's just bad.
They can't stand it. That's why they're trying to drag us backwards. They're digging their heels in. You know, this country started with no equity. I mean, it's the same. This is why, well, most of Republicans have no idea what Marxism is, but that's what it's a critique of. The lack of equity. Like, capitalism was a reaction to feudalism and the fact there was no equality and there was no equity, and it was supposed to solve those problems. And Marx, all he does is point out, hey, you said there was going to be some equity. It's not here, right? There's no equity. We're still slaves. That's the point of it.
Yeah. Criticism, critical theory, critical race theory, anything that looks at what we have and advocates for something better, for whatever reason, Republicans are morally opposed. And that's because you're conservatives. But just remember, if there's any conservatives in here, there is not a single thing, not one single advancement in this country, whether it be black people, whether it be women, whether it be the LGBTQ community, no matter what, there has not been a single injustice that was an equity-based injustice or equality-based injustice that conservatives haven't fought against. Every single time the people fighting against any sort of social change and any sort of fix of injustice or equality or equity, it's always the conservatives. You can say whatever you want about the party switch. I don't give a shit. If you like, conservatives are always the ones fighting against that.
Just look at voting rights. You know what I'm saying? Just look at voting rights. If you vote Republican, you're voting for a party that is actively using the judicial system to try to take away the vote from marginalized groups. Every single day in the courts, they are fighting against the right of people's votes to be counted. That's your party. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's why they keep chanting 1776. They got to undo all this stuff.
Exactly. They want to go back to white male landowners being the only one recognized and having the vote.
Which, honestly, good deal for me. Good deal for me. If they win, I'm going to be fine. Quick story, but palate cleanser here. This came up on my Twitter right before the show. The ACLU is representing a transgender student. I believe, I want to say Iowa. I don't remember if it's Iowa or not. I can't remember what state, so I apologize for that. But they are representing a transgender student who's challenging a discriminatory restroom policy. Oh, Indiana. At an Indiana public school. The lower court's ruling basically said that the school is required to treat the trans students equally. And the Supreme Court, in a shocking decision, has refused to hear the case, meaning that the lower court's ruling will remain in place. So, rare win for the trans community in a red state of Iowa, and our Supreme Court refusing to hear the case. So
that's awesome. I also, just weird thing about voting rights and what's going on. I was reading a New York Times article. It's not in this outline, but in a town in New Jersey, 16 and 17-year-olds just won the right to vote in school board elections. Isn't that cool?
That makes perfect sense.
Doesn't it? I know. Yeah. And they're hoping that this will be a case study and a precedent so that this could be something that happens across the country.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. I'm seeing this. And of course, the Republicans, now they want 16 to 17-year-old students to vote so they can mold their political identity, removing parents again. But if you're a parent and you don't think that your child has rights till you're 18, go fuck yourself. Like, your kids have rights. From the time they are born until the time they are no longer alive, your children have rights. And your rights should not supersede them. I don't know why we've done this as a country. I understand that there's like consent, that there are age appropriate things that like you may not be old enough, but voting for who represents you, who's running your school, the place where you go to school,
where you're
every
going
day.
to be educated.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's a problem to allow kids to have a voice. By the way, they're not. It's not like they themselves are going to choose. You still have all the parents are voting. You're not taking away the parents' rights to vote. The parents and the voters and the students can vote differently. That's fine. The parents still have a right to vote. But I think that's brilliant. I don't know. I've never even thought of that. But I think that you should be able to vote, especially
it gives them
in high school.
ownership, and
Look at these poor kids in Florida dealing with the moms of
it's
liberty.
in Newark, which Newark's the largest city in New Jersey. Residents as young as 16 have been granted the right to vote in school board elections, beginning in April. So the city council unanimously approved this ordinance Wednesday, lowering the voting age. The measure would make Newark the largest community in the United States to expand voting rights to younger residents since 1971. When the 26th Amendment lowered the voting age to 18. Yeah,
And just
it's
remember that
amazing.
one time Vivek was running and he's like, I'm going to connect with the young people. No voting until you're 25. Remember that? That's how brain dead Republicans are. They don't get like you can't keep treating teenage kids like they don't know anything and then expect them to turn around and vote for you. And you think that they're being indoctrinated at schools. No, they're going to the schools that you guys are running and they're like, this fucking sucks. We don't want to do this anymore. So they get out of school. They have a bad experience where they see their friends persecuted. They see their friends discriminated against. And then they get out of school and what they're just suddenly gonna be like, oh yeah, you guys were right. We should have been discriminating against my friends there at school. Like, it's not indoctrination. It's literally kids living in the system that you set up and them coming out of it going, never again. If I ever have kids, I hope they don't have to go through that.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. It depends on what you were doing in school, but I took like IB International Baccalaureate classes, well, and AP, and we took like IB Civics. No, I'm just saying. So this is a really good idea because what they're trying to do, it's a nationwide campaign to reinvigorate civics education, encourage greater participation in the democratic process, and boost lagging voter turnout. Listen to this. Newark is the largest city in New Jersey. Last year, only 3.1% of Newark's 195,000 registered voters cast ballots for the nonpartisan election for the city's 9-member school board. Each of the 3 winners won with fewer than 3,500 votes. Nobody is voting. Nobody cares about these elections. Why not let the students become involved and care?
Well, yeah, because who knows, right? If you don't have kids that are in school, I mean, I'll admit it. I'm looking at my school board elections. Like the last time I filled out a ballot, I didn't know any. I spent the day filling out my ballot, like going to try and find websites where they're explaining their platforms. A lot of them don't have websites. It doesn't take much to get on the ballot to be like a school board, at least where I'm at, like to get on the ballot for school board. It doesn't take much. And some of these people don't have websites. They don't have a platform. It's difficult. So I think a lot of people just abstain from voting. So it does make sense. Have the kids vote. Have the people who are there vote.
Yeah, and it says, so roughly 7,000 16 and 17-year-olds in Newark are likely to be newly eligible to vote. That's amazing. Like, think about how that will interest people. Like, I found civics so interesting when I was in high school. And I think that was a big part of why I'm interested in politics as a whole. So I do think, like, we have to get people passionate about this and not just about screaming about who's president. Like these elections, what's happening to our lives, what's affecting children, the book bans, this all has to do with school board elections. If you're somebody who's always thinking about the top of the ticket, what's affecting each of our lives is the bottom of the ticket. We have to worry about every single election in our state.
You see that message in a Minneapolis suburb, one contested school board race only had 1,800 total votes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't even know if we had. Honestly, I don't know if we had a civics class in my high school. I don't know anybody that took civics. I don't think we had it.
What about, did you have economics?
I don't think so. I mean,
Did you have debate? Speech and debate?
Yeah, I was in debate. I was in debate class
That's
when 9/11
shocking.
happened.
Can't imagine. Wow.
Yeah, shocker, huh?
Just to argue with people. God, people probably hated you in there.
No, yeah, everybody but my teacher. Yeah.
Okay.
She
It's
liked me
another
for some
story.
reason.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool when I saw that. I think that's a great idea. I think especially in a place like Newark. Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, did you have the Nikki
Oh,
Haley
can I
clip?
just say my stuff again?
Please.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 150K. If you're here, we still are trying to get RTP's main account back. So this is Jay's backup account. Please follow this account now. That he also has RTP Talks 3. You can follow that as well. Who knows what any account will be banned. And if you're a Republican in here, we'd love to have a civil conversation. You can bring up the topic or we can ask you questions. We have many questions that we would like the answers to after yesterday.
Yeah, I have so many questions. I don't know if you had this, so I added it at the end because I didn't remember seeing it. This is Nikki Haley. Last night, I believe before the caucuses were done. What did
And they
Ron
were all
DeSantis say?
speaking in that like weird gym with like the weird background and
Yeah.
like one lady sitting at a table.
Yeah, it looks
So
like a
weird.
cafeteria, maybe.
Yeah, it's like it is. I was like, where are they?
Yeah. This is her just shooting herself in the foot, or ballistic podiatry. as our
Ballistic
guy Ron DeSantis
podiatry. I'm
likes to
getting a
say.
t-shirt that says that.
Yeah, this is Nikki Haley just like given the softball of a lifetime and somehow fucking it up. Turn that mic up a little bit.
Are you a racist party? Are you involved in a racist party?
No, we're not a racist country, Brian. We've never been a racist country. Our goal is to make sure that today is better than yesterday. Are we perfect? No. But our goal is to always make sure we try and be more perfect every day that we can. I know I faced racism when I was growing up, but I can tell you today is a lot better than it was then. Our goal is to lift up everybody, not go and divide people on race or gender or party or anything else. We've had enough of that in America. That's why I'm so passionate about doing this. I don't want my kids growing up where they're sitting there thinking that they're disadvantaged because of a color or a gender. I want them to know that if they work hard, they can do and be anything they want to be in America.
Are you?
All right. So, first of all, we've never been a racist country. And second of all, I, Nikki Haley, have experienced racism, which is bizarre for a country that's not racist. It's bizarre to say we're not a racist country, given the foundation
sad
of our
for
country.
children.
I don't know if she remembers. It's starting to become clear that she may not actually know that the Civil War was about slavery. It's starting. I'm starting
No,
to
she
think.
absolutely knows.
This is it's so discouraging day in and day out to hear this. Pretending a problem doesn't exist never makes the problem go away. What problem have you had in your life where pretending it didn't exist made it go away? When they say things, I believe them. When they say like, I want to live in a country where everybody has the opportunity to be what they want to be, and I don't want my kids sitting around thinking that because of their skin color that they may not get things. Well, you know what? Like, my kid won't have that happen. That will never happen. There will never be an instance where my kid will have to sit in a classroom and wonder what she could have been if she wasn't white. That was one of the things Jones talked to me about yesterday. Is when we, because I don't want to spill his feeling. I don't think he would mind that I said this, but I talked to him later in the night, and he just sounded, Jones is energetic, and he sounded down. I asked him, I was like, it sounds like it's been a heavy day. He's like, yeah. And that's one of the things that, as he was talking, like, we'll never understand that. And until that goes away, and until that nobody ever has to question that, then we have to continue to work on it. But the Republicans' idea is, hey, if we, like, the problem is actually that we're talking about it. The problem isn't any of the acts, isn't any of the redlining.
Everyone pretended it's not happening.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine
Yeah.
for the people it's not happening to.
Like when my
God.
daughter, we play,
Unbelievable.
sometimes I play hide and seek with my daughter, and she can't figure out a good hiding spot. And so I'll go looking for her, and she'll just be in the middle of the room, but she does this.
Has her eyes closed. Nobody could see
Yeah.
her. I was that person.
And
too.
like, that's basically the strategy for Republicans when it comes to any sort of race issue. Just like, close your eyes, and if you can't see it, then nobody else can see it either. And that's their hope. Their actual hope is that, like, hey, listen, we know we don't have any good solutions. We know that. But what if we all just pretended that we did, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see if that fixes it.
I just everyone stop talking about it. Like that's your solution. We already like I was one of those people. Like my father's African American and half African American, half Native American. My mother is pure blood German. Like you do the math. I mean DNA test like 99.9%. I
Unlikely
I
couple. Let's call it an
yes,
unlikely
let's call
couple.
it that. And but I was one of those people who like I had a white mother who did not acknowledge racism. Like I have very curly hair. She never explained to me like how to do my hair, like why my hair was frizzy. I would ask her like why people were calling me names at school or saying that I wasn't white. She would tell me just ignore it. It's not true. Like when you deny to a child who they are and don't explain to them who they are, it has lasting effects.
Yeah, what
Like I never self-actualized. I didn't even understand. It took me years to understand like who I was.
I don't know if you want to. I mean, sorry if this is too personal. I apologize in advance, but it was really impactful what you told me that your dad told you yesterday. I don't know if you want to share that.
Yeah, that's fine. I can share it. So, like, sometimes, you know, I had a
Sorry.
hard childhood, and sometimes I would ask, like, because that's in my childhood, I knew that if my parents separated, that there would be less abuse, you know, and I would say, like, why don't you leave? Why are we in this situation to my father? And one time he told me very clearly that I should be very thankful that he procreated with my mother because if, like, I have an older half sister who's much darker than me. And he said, like, your life will be exponentially easier because you don't look like me. And I couldn't, and in his mind, he has given me a gift of lighter skin. Like, but denying, not letting me realize, like, I had to go get a history degree and learn how to be a historical researcher to like figure out what my history was, like who my grandmother was, like what the Yaqui Indian like tribe was. Like I had to discover that all myself. So yeah, it's hard, but like in my father's mind, a man who's half African American, half Native American, was raised in Phoenix, you know, couldn't swim in the pool with the white children. They had to swim in the canal system in Phoenix, you know, like all, you know, I watched as a child when the police would come to my house, you know, for different disputes or whatever, how they would treat him in comparison to my mother or to me. And yeah, like that's all that in my view, like to my father, like giving me the privilege of lighter skin was a gift.
And the part, yeah, thank you. And again, I'm sorry if for bringing that, but the part that you told me was that even like looking at like your dad learned that as a survival technique, right?
Yeah.
He learned that like because of what
What's
he
called
dealt with.
hyper assimilation. Yeah.
Like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like he overcorrects. Like he's a Republican. He has held the same job. You know, like anything he can. He's like watches Hannity every night. Like anything he can do to sort of fit in. It's kind of a thing you see with a lot of Spanish speakers, especially if in border places. Like you know, like once you have naturalized and are a citizen here, then you get with the program. You know, you become extremely Republican, extremely on the page with them because you learned a lesson. Like my father being Yaqui Indian, when he was a child, you were sent to reservation schools. Some people didn't make it out of those schools. If you know what reservation schools and what happened to Native Americans in those schools, they cut their hair. They wouldn't let them speak their languages. These were all things he feared and knew, like, I don't want my children to experience these things. And, you know, making me a biracial child was one way he could overcompensate.
Yeah, and hearing those things, like the part that is so discouraging is for Republicans to pretend this doesn't happen today. It may not happen in the same way, but what do you think they're telling kids when they tell kids they can't use their pronouns? What do you think they're telling kids who may be gay? Like, what do you think these southern states like Florida are telling black students when they say like, hey, we're gonna soften this history here? Like, what they're saying is assimilate. You have to assimilate to our culture, and our culture is not our culture. When they say our culture, they're talking about white supremacy. And maybe they don't even know that they're saying white supremacy. Maybe they don't even recognize that. And in fairness, like, giving people the benefit of the doubt based on where I grew up, like I didn't recognize that as white supremacy either. It's weird. I thought it was the better way, but I thought it was the better way because it was the better way, right? Like that our culture just was better, and that look at all the outcomes. Look at all these great things white people have done for this country because it's just because of our culture. No, it was because we built the country on the backs of people that didn't have rights, and we were able to elevate ourselves and create social hierarchies that translate into every part of our life. Somebody said it in the Discord the other day, but when you grow up specific, like in a community like I did, and you grow up in a white community, it's easy to get a job. It's easy to get a high paying job. You know somebody, they trust you, you look like them. You're not going to come in and bring different cultures into their workplace. And that's the part of republicanism, modern day republicanism, at least now, that they blatantly go out of their way to pretend that there's no such thing as white supremacy, and they disguise it as Christianity now. They disguise it as loving. They disguise it as them just wanting the best for everybody and wanting to end discrimination. But the truth is, they just want everybody to assimilate to how they act, how they look, how they want everybody to look, and that's their only option. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to make just a point from someone in the comments said that it is very true in a lot. When you look at countries south of here, which experienced Spanish colonization by the country of Spain, they used religion, right? Like a lot of people wonder why the Latino vote in America always skews oftentimes Republican. And one of the things that happened when Spanish conquistadors came to South America, to Central America, to Mexico, is they established Catholic missions. They used forced conversions, convert or die. Convert or die, they said. Right? Take all your polytheistic communal ways of living, right? Marx didn't come up with communism. A German man didn't invent communism. Tribal communities were living this way for hundreds of years in harmony. And all of those things, the gods they worshipped, the way their society was structured that had nothing to do with capitalism, they used religion to control them, to hyper assimilate them, right? And yes, that's why you see, and I always challenge Spanish speakers, because you need to think about our roots in Catholicism that have spread now to evangelicalism and Christianity, and understand that that was a technique of the colonizer to get us on side.
Yeah, there's now some pissed off Christians here, and they're saying things like, "Oh, you're attacking Christianity."
It's called history.
Here's a little tip for you, as somebody who left Christianity. When people tell the truth about you, it's not an attack. When I say that white supremacists now hide behind Christianity and have actually for as long as they've been in existence, it's true. Find me a group of white nationalists who don't claim that they're Christians, who don't wear a cross.
Root them out, Christians. You don't like the truth of what's happening to your religion. It's being perverted, right?
We're asking you to join with us. Go
get your people. Jesus was a brown socialist, okay? And that's the truth. I had this on our outline yesterday, but I didn't talk about it. The Pope was meeting with Marxists and socialists. And basically in Europe, the Pope, right? He's now blessing same-sex couples. They cannot stand this man. Next, he's in Europe meeting with Marxists and socialists. They used to, in Guatemala, encourage people to unalive priests that embraced socialism because they were so terrified of capitalism not proliferating in Central and South America, okay? Because Christianity, Jesus's message, real Christianity, the New Testament is socialism. That's the truth. And the Pope
it's so clearly
is now
socialism.
Saying that at the Vatican and meeting with socialists and Marxists and saying, our mission is one and the same, right? And that's the power of Marxism and Christianity. If you subscribe to actual Christianity in the New Testament, the tenets are the same. They are aligned. The mission is aligned.
And understand, as a Christian, you have a target on your back, and it is easy to co-opt you, and it's done on purpose. You have been raised, you have been conditioned, not necessarily on purpose, but you have been raised and conditioned to believe things without evidence. So when somebody compares, let's say, and this happens regularly on the right, comparing Marxism and communism and socialism to Satanism, there's a reason for that. Like they know that you are conditioned to believe Satan is bad. So if you can connect anything with Satan, then therefore
there's 666 people in here.
That's crazy.
While
timing.
You were talking,
That's
this
crazy
can't
timing.
be a coincidence.
Yeah, when they can connect that, they will, and they will co-opt you. That's why my whole religion, which my religion was founded on communism, basically. Like their end result is communism.
Mormons were great
and they get a prophet in the 80s and 90s that's like a diehard capitalist, and suddenly all the Mormons in this country become capitalists.
Yeah, now they
And
have
why?
the largest fucking portfolio, one of the largest stock portfolios in the world, the Mormons.
And here's the great thing: if capitalists can convince you that living within a capitalist system is the way of Christ, is the way of Christians, is the way that God intended it, then you're not going to question when things start going bad. You're not when we're looking at what's happening right now, when we're looking at the massive transfer of wealth, and the 1% getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and everybody else struggling. You've already been conditioned to not hear the criticism of capitalism. You already know. Just like you wouldn't hear the criticism of Jesus, right? You would never hear the criticism of Jesus because you've already accepted Jesus as the way, the truth, and the light. And capitalism has been co-opted, or has co-opted you into their movement as the way, the truth, and the light. So when we look at Donald Trump and MAGA, when we look at the capitalists and you connect them with Christians, you can see why they chose Christians. You're the mark. You're the easy mark, the easiest of marks. Just get Christians to buy in. And by the way, everybody likes making money. Everybody is a little bit greedy. So when you can convince somebody that their greed is part of a system that Jesus endorses, well, then you don't have to acknowledge that you're greedy anymore. You don't have to feel bad about it. It's just
Effin
part of the
Dunright's
system
here.
that you live in.
Effin Dunright, do you want to get in the box, or are you just going to say a bunch of incorrect things in the chat? Come up here and make up. You have no idea what socialism is. You never have. You never have. So get up here if you
No
want.
invite.
Stop arguing with people in the comments. Get up here and loudly be wrong. Do you remember Effin Dunright?
I think from Nemo's live once, right?
He drove you insane the last time.
He might have. I don't remember. Some people drive me insane. Was that on?
There's
that was
it's
a
like
Nemo
there's
live?
no. He's bad faith. Like there's just you can't.
Well,
He
conservatives
takes in
are.
no information. He takes in no new information. Right?
That's the thing.
There's no.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Like, you've been conditioned to put this wall between anything that like conflicts with your worldview. So, and by the way, I've had this. It's visceral, and you don't understand. I promise you don't understand it when you're in it. You don't know that it's happening. But you learn that like things that are anti-Jesus or in my case anti-Mormon, you learn that stuff itself is dangerous, and your body creates fight or flight responses to just that. So when we were taught,
He said we overtalk.
anti-Mormon, yeah, when you hear anti-Mormon propaganda, which is what we would call it, you were to leave. You don't engage with it. You don't try and correct it.
Yep.
You leave. We were taught to run from that. And that's how you guys are also taught the same thing. You're taught to run from the devil. So when you tie the devil to socialism, to Marxism, to DEI, to LGBTQ, to CRT, when you tie it all to that, then you've created this wall in your head where you're not going to get new information. You can't. Your body is conditioned to have a response, to run. It's fight or flight. You're either going to scream over us or you're going to run away. But what you're not going to do is have a discussion and be open-minded, because that goes against your nature. You've been conditioned to be that way. I just want you to know that. That's why you are who you are.
Dunright, get up here. You must be real mad about that Supreme Court Justice Protasewicz in Wisconsin, where you are, redrawing those maps. They're going to ungerrymander your state. You must be scared. We can talk about it. It's okay.
I'll be quiet too, Dunn. If you don't want to
No,
talk
I
to me, you
don't.
can
You
just talk
cannot
to
be
police.
quiet. I cannot talk. No, I'm going to be quiet. I've already, him and I have spoken probably a total, like probably 12 hours of total talk time.
All right. So, good question. Good question. If socialism is great, then how do you keep it immune from corruption?
Yeah. So
Grace, would
any
you like to take
system
that?
is, that is the issue with capitalism, with feudalism, with socialism, is the corruption, right? Any system can be corrupted. Like nobody is saying that. Like the argument, and I've said, I want to advocate for this. Like I believe the system and the way forward is critical thinking, right? It's probably a hybrid. Like socialism at the macro level is just regulating capitalism, right? Creating more equity. There's less wealth inequality, right? We're handling the wealth inequality. At the micro level, it's workers having a piece of the pie, right? It's owning the means of production. It's having democracy in the workplace. Like we are slaves. The place where we spend most of our time, there is a boss. If the boss doesn't like us, they can get rid of us. We have no recourse against it. Only 6% of the privatized workforce has any sort of union behind them protecting them. And they're trying to eliminate that. So at the macro level, like when you see democratic socialism, which MLK, one of his main quotes was saying we need to move from capitalism to democratic socialism. As you see in Sweden, in Denmark, this is regulated capitalism to make sure there is a social safety net and that wealth inequality is less. Like that, it's called like the Mondragon or whatever, one of the largest socialist co-op corporations in the world. The wealth inequality structure, the highest person makes 6 times the lowest person. Whereas when you look at General Motors, the highest person makes 366 times the average salary of a General Motors worker. Socialism is about stopping the wealth inequality,
Right.
creating equity in society.
And the debate between capitalism and socialism is a fun debate when you're talking about just like if you're having a philosophical debate. But the truth is there's not an economic system that isn't flawed and isn't open to corruption. Absolutely. The question should be, what is the best thing for our country? What's the best thing for the country you live in? What's the most fair system? You can maintain capitalism and employ tenets of socialism that make it more free, that make it more fair. For example, democratizing the workplace. Like I don't understand how the free market capitalists, the people who also advocate that we spread democracy across the world, we're like, we have to take it to every country, but not to work. We can't, not at work. People can't be going to work and have a say in what they do. Like you want to end the problem where CEOs make 300 to 500 times more than the average worker. Give the workers a vote. Give them a vote. Let's see what happens. Let's see where people are at. Like when we actually give them a vote. It's a bizarre thing for capitalists to be like pro democracy, but not in the workplace.
Yeah. Oh no. My God. Oh, hi. How are you?
Where are we wrong?
Hey, stop calling me God. That's a little arrogant, I think.
Good Lord, it's already starting. I'm
Lord.
Go get some
Lord,
Tylenol.
No gods, none of that, please.
So
okay,
where were we
RTP,
wrong?
I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
See, the problem you guys have is you start from a fundamental wrong foundation, and then you build all kinds of goofy stuff to try to justify this wrong foundation.
What do you think my foundation is?
Well, your foundational knowledge is garbage. So anytime
No, what is it?
socialism
No.
is gonna be better.
Now I remember.
See, you're already
Now I remember
starting. You asked me a question. I'm answering it.
Yeah, that's
so
not
when
an
you
answer.
When you already think that socialism is
done.
better than
Hold on.
capitalism, it's a bad foundation.
Done. Can you hold on for a second? Can we try something? Can we try? Like, I'm going to let you speak. The only thing I'm going to ask for you is that you answer questions. And if you answer a question that's not an answer, I asked you what my base is, just so that I could get an idea of what you think I believe. And your response to that was, it's garbage.
Right.
I want you to tell me what you think I believe in.
Well, obviously you believe in socialism, and that's the
Wrong.
second part of the answer.
Wrong.
Well, you have to
I don't
believe
believe
in
in
it, otherwise
socialism. I'm
you
not a
wouldn't advocate
socialist.
for it.
Done. I'm not a socialist.
Then why do you advocate for it?
I don't.
You just are in this whole life.
No,
You're saying that
if you
democratic
heard what I just-
socialism is a better system.
No, actually, if you heard what I just said, I said both socialism and capitalism can be corrupted. So what you do is inside of a capitalist system, you can use tenets of socialism to create a more equitable and equal foundation for everybody. I believe in mixed economies. We have a mixed economy
what I
now. We're
said
not
too.
we are not a capitalist country. We have a mixed economy, and I advocate for a mixed economy, using capitalism where it benefits us, using tenets of socialism where it benefits us.
There is a mixed economy. The biggest problem with our economy right now is the fact that we've gone too far into the socialism realm, which is harming the mass population and creating income inequality.
where would that manifest itself? Like what parts of the economy would you say have been affected negatively by socialism that's hurting us?
Well, all you have to do is look at the level of taxation we have today.
Taxation
How
has
much
nothing
it-
to do with socialism. So
You didn't let
again,
me finish there.
no,
Yeah,
That was a nice try, though.
Wait, no, but done. I
didn't
have
let
to
me
stop
finish,
you
Mr. Overspeak.
because when you done. When you say something wrong, I'm going to correct it so we can
Aha,
have
so
a
you're going to
conversation.
overspeak.
Done.
You're going
done,
to overspeak before
done,
I can answer.
Done. Hold on. Just chill, dude.
I'm providing you with evidence.
Done.
Why don't you?
Done.
Why don't
Hold
you
on.
speak
Done.
this up
This is not going to be
please?
done. Please, dude. For the love of God, have like some self-control.
See, I knew you would do this.
You can have the
You always
tax.
do
You
this.
could have. Wait. You can
Overspeak,
have a
overspeak,
socialist country.
overspeak.
Done. Done. Open your mind a little bit.
Overspeak.
You can have done. Open your mind just a little. You can have low taxes in a socialist country. You know that, right?
Give evidence of it.
Yeah, so taxes pay for whatever the government provides. Correct?
No, people pay for whatever the government provides.
Yeah, through taxes,
Yes.
right?
Taxes,
Okay.
fees,
So, yeah,
regulation.
tax
There's more
revenues
than
pay.
just taxes.
Okay. So if a government, if you had a socialist government, but the government didn't provide a lot, you could have low taxes. Let's say all the government provided was like a local police force, some poorly constructed roads, and that's it. You could have low taxes.
Or you could have low taxes because if it's a socialist country and we say nationalize oil and gas, then we can and we all get a piece of that pie instead of just ExxonMobil and British Petroleum and all of this. Then we, with our oil and gas money, we can use that to fund the economy instead of taxing people. That's how socialism works. You don't know that. Now you know.
No, I know that. It's just what you're coming up with are fantasies. It's like we could also create limits.
Wait, why are those fantasies? Wait, those.
Okay, look. So
I
let me
said
go
they
back to the
didn't.
original
Wait, I said
answer
they
of
didn't
keeping-
exist. The point is done is to say that.
No,
like,
there are many countries that nationalize oil and gas. That's how Venezuela's
how has that
economy
worked out for
was
them?
coming. No, well, until
Not too well.
that's why they're at our southern border done because Donald Trump tried to do a coup and tanked their economy. Because that's exactly what happened because
And why
of them
hasn't their
trying to
economy come back
privatize
under
gas and
Biden or
oil.
succeeded under Obama?
he's not their president.
Obama's
He's
not the president.
He's not the
Well,
president.
God,
There's
you
Donald
are
Trump.
so. Oh my
Donald
God,
Trump's not
it's
the president
unbelievable.
either. Biden
Wait,
is. He's in
wait,
his
no,
last year
effing
of his
done,
first
done,
term.
done,
Come on
done. Be
now, it's
quiet for
under
a second.
Biden.
Done. This is the problem. Like,
I know, you
have-
always
no,
overspeak.
shh. Okay, what she said is Donald Trump tried a coup. Obama didn't try a coup. Biden didn't try a coup. Donald Trump wanted American oil producers to be able to have access to the nationalized oil in Venezuela. They wanted a new leader in Venezuela, so we had access to their resources. And when they told him no, he put sanctions on them, and we stopped buying their oil, which raised gas prices for us. But it's 50% of what their country brings in. So suddenly they had half their country in poverty, and there was nothing for them to do. There were no jobs there. It was 90% of their economy. So when you want, so if you want to
apparently
talk about,
socialism
hold on,
doesn't work then, does it?
almost there, done, almost there.
Okay.
So if you want to blame Obama and Biden, you're going to have to show me them doing something similar, which they didn't do. So let's just discuss what actually happened.
All right. So first of all, you are claiming things that there is no real evidence for, as far as a coup, quote unquote coup. Secondly,
it's called the Gideon operation. It's called the Gideon operation. You can read all about it, Dunn. Just because you have no knowledge of it doesn't mean it didn't happen. You have no idea what you're talking about once again.
Dunn, it was so bad. It was so done. Hold on. Done.
RTP.
Done.
You keep
it's on. Done. You can watch the video of the coup.
You stop talking.
Lev Parnas was connecting, was finding a safe place for Nicolas Maduro to live after they displaced him, Dunn.
But let's assume
you have no idea what you're talking about.
Trump has been out of office now for 3+ years.
Okay. Sorry, don't mute him, Jen. I'll take care of that.
He completely pivoted and is wrong about the last thing, but sure, go on another rant.
You're muted. That was my mod. I'll try and let you talk. Dunn, you're muted.
The second thing you have to do with the fallacy,
I missed the first part, Dunn.
Is you're saying that socialism
depends
on capitalism.
Done.
Yeah, so you lost again, RTP. And all you do is overtalk.
Done. Calm down, brother. I didn't hear the first part of what you said. I'm asking you to repeat it.
Okay, I said.
God damn, dude.
Well, why do you mute me then?
I didn't. I just said, if you were listening, I said Done. Calm down.
Okay, but you're taking a long time to make a simple thing. So I'm going to go with what you said. I'm going to agree with you and say, okay,
thank you.
I don't believe what you said is fact, but I'm going to agree with it and assume that it is.
Great.
Now, Trump has been out of office for 3+ years. You should see on a graph, on a curve, on a wealth meter of some graphical statistical basis that when Obama was in office, life was great for the Venezuelans. Then when Trump came into the office, life got worse.
Wait, why?
And then
why should I see that?
Then when Biden came
why? Dunn, I'm asking
because
a question.
You said it's Trump's fault.
No, yeah, but
you said it's Trump's fault. It can't be Trump's fault.
Unless the
actions were better before.
I'm asking you clarifying questions, Dunn. This is how conversations work. I told you I'm going to let you speak,
but I'm
going to stop you to ask for clarifying questions. Okay?
Go ahead.
I'm just asking you to clarify.
And I clarified.
Okay, I haven't asked the question yet, Dunn. So you said that. Now we've got Biden, and we should be able to see previous to Trump and post Trump that things got better for Venezuela. Well, that's assuming that all presidents were mingling in the Venezuelan economy, or that all presidents interjected themselves into the Venezuelan economy, which isn't true.
Now, the second part of that is...
No, do you understand what I'm saying?
One, we disagree on that.
Wait. Okay, then I need you to tell me a time when Obama
provide a supporting
in the Venezuelan economy.
Well, it doesn't matter whether he was actively intermingling. The point is, you're saying Trump was.
Yes.
So if the cause of the problem was Trump, you would expect to see prosperity before Trump. Trump comes into again, according to your thesis,
correct.
You would expect to see prosperity prior to Trump. When Trump comes into office and causes this massive destruction you're talking about, you should see a decline in prosperity.
I'll show you this, Dunn. I'll show you.
Hold on. And then after Trump leaves, you should see a recovery of that prosperity.
I remember you now. Brother.
See, I knew you would.
When you're on somebody else's platform, I'm giving you so much leeway. When I stop you, just listen for a second. I'm asking you questions. This is not like a soapbox.
Never let me finish
Shut the fuck up.
So
Done. Because you don't get to say a million things at once. I'm going to stop you so that this is a real discussion, not just you saying things. So Dunn, I want you to pull up a computer because you said there should be some sort of evidence, right? You're muted. I muted you this time. You said that there should be some sort of evidence, right?
I'm saying there isn't. I don't have to prove
Okay, so I'm going to
point.
tell you now. I'm going to explain, and you can look this up. Do you have a computer in front of you?
Go ahead.
Do you have a computer?
No, because I'm trying to get to work. So chop.
So the Venezuelan, the coup in Venezuela happened in 2019, early in 2019. It immediately destabilized their economy, turning millions of people essentially homeless and jobless. Now, do you know for roughly 20 years, border crossings had stayed stable, even through all of the Obama years, the Bush years, up until 2019. Early in 2019, we had the coup. Midway through 2019, border crossings and specifically people from Venezuela, went up 500%. So Donald Trump performs a coup early in the year in 2019. He puts sanctions on Venezuela, saying we're no longer buying your oil, which was 50% of their revenue. And a few months later, we have a 500% increase at our border. Like it is the most transparent cause and effect relationship that you could possibly see. But you don't know any of this because your side isn't telling you the truth.
Okay, I don't need my side to tell me the truth, because the second part of the equation, again, I'm just going off your position, not my position, your position. If Venezuela's economy, their socialism utopia, can be affected by the United States, which basically is saying that without capitalism, without a strong capitalist society like the United States, these other socialist hellholes cannot exist.
No, that's not a conclusion that you can make.
Of course it is.
No, because wait, hold on. Wait. When you say things, and you have to let me respond. You can't. If the United States, be quiet. Be quiet. Done. Shush.
Go.
If the United States was a socialist country, if we were socialist and we were buying 50% of the Venezuelan oil and we stopped buying 50% of the Venezuelan oil, the same exact thing would have happened. It doesn't matter if we are capitalist or socialist. The point is, we propped up their economy because we bought their oil. It doesn't matter what kind of economic policies we have here. The truth is, we were buying their oil. Socialist countries buy oil too.
No, what you're missing is that we became the powerhouse that we have become due to capitalism, not due to socialism.
But that wasn't what we were talking about.
Largest economy because of capitalism, not socialism.
Well, I would say
you can't say socialist countries could do it.
Done. I would disagree. I think that we became a world power because of heavy government spending, social spending.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, explain to me how we built the railroads then.
Well, I'm going to have to take
Where did we get the funding? Where did we get the funding?
Where did the internet come from?
When we started manufacturing?
I want to stay on socialism.
In the Industrial Revolution, where did that funding come from, Dunn?
It was also
government.
Go back and look at your history. Government railroads and private railroads.
Correct.
Which how did succeeded faster?
When we built out our infrastructure for cell phones and for internet, who paid for that?
Private industry.
The government. No, wrong. The government built
You're
that
on the
infrastructure.
internet right now because of the U.S. government.
No, you're talking on a cell phone.
Yes, Don. Surprise! Learn something about history.
No, I worked at Motorola. I was there. I existed.
Well, then Motorola forgot to tell you that the infrastructure wasn't built by them.
Engineer, and now you
okay, but I got to run, guys. I got to run. I just want to destroy RTP real quickly. Okay.
Yeah, you did great.
So no. I got to ask you a question, RTP. This is a real simple question. You guys talk about greedy this, greedy that. Capitalism's no good.
I've never said capitalism is no good.
Do you own a business, RTP?
Yeah. Yes, and I've owned multiple businesses.
And how many people did you hire?
At the most, we had just under 1,000 people.
Okay, and did you pay them whatever you chose?
Yeah.
Okay, and were you greedy and exploited these employees?
No, in fact, in Arizona, when they passed the minimum wage requirements, it raised the minimum wage. We had a standing, like we hired a lot of college students to fill our call centers, and we would always pay $2 over whatever minimum wage was because we felt like we would get better. We would get people that wanted to stay. They wouldn't get a 25-cent raise somewhere else and go somewhere else. So when minimum raise,
so there you go.
Oh, shut up. When minimum wage went up, we all took a hit. Every one of us.
Okay.
Every owner took less money, and we hired more people. And regularly, I took money that was delegated to me to pay out management. And when I would hire new managers, that would come out of my budget, directly out of my pocket. I did not get rich from that business. I did fine, but I wasn't making, like, the person directly under me made like $10,000 less than me.
All right. So
and I was an owner.
So there you go. Even without the government forcing you to do things, business owners will act in their own best interest because they want to be successful. They want their employees to be successful. But most importantly, they're doing it for their own best interest. And that's why capitalism works.
Wait,
because
that could happen in socialism. In socialism, people can make different amounts of money.
Doesn't matter. I'm saying
he doesn't know what socialism is. He never has. No matter how many times I've explained it to him.
Acting in your own self-interest is always the thing that creates success. If there's no
and that's why you have to put checks. That's the problem. Done. That's why you put in checks. Because I said this. I said this 5 minutes ago before you got here. I said in every system, greed corrupts. I literally said those words, and so you have to put put mechanisms in place to prevent the greed from being out of control. And one of those ways to do that is by democratizing the workplace, giving the people who go to work a say in what the company does.
But you refuted that with your previous statement. You said that you guys paid more than the government demanded because it was in your best interest. And the reason you did that was you didn't want to lose employees to other companies, because if you didn't pay them enough, it would be in their best interest to go to those other companies. And people always act
the same thing happens in socialism.
Hold on. When you try to break away from that foundational, fundamental
that's not capitalism,
of humanity,
but that's not capitalism. Brother, you're just explaining businesses. Businesses exist in socialism or capitalism. You don't seem to know what either of these terms mean.
Well, when you make up false definitions and come up with falsities,
and
crazy
things,
let
me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
When you break away from the foundation, you always get everything wrong.
What's that?
The foundation is that people operate in their own self-interest.
He's trying to drag us back to 1776.
No, they always
only
will.
White
Everyone
male
operates in their own
landowners.
best interest, and you just verified it.
So never put in. So we should just have no rules, no regulations, no laws. That's what we.
No,
should
there
do?
should be laws and rules. But there's a level in which you have anarchy.
How do we put those? How do we put those laws? Let me just ask you this question. Done. Be quiet. Done. Be quiet. How do those laws get put into place?
Like through things.
Legislators. I'll do this quickly. Legislators, right? Legislators, right?
You create a constitution and then you live by it.
Done. This is not hard. These aren't gotchas. Legislators, right? They put those laws into place.
No, sir. Remember
the
that.
screen.
Stop.
No, sir.
Where did we start? Did we start with the legislators or did we start with the Constitution?
Who puts laws into place?
Did we start with the Constitution or legislators?
We're talking about this country, you potato. Who puts laws into place?
You start with the Constitution, as we did, and then you use legislators.
Yeah, and in the Constitution, there's one government body that writes the laws. Which body under the Constitution? Which body writes the laws? Done.
Well, I think that would be Congress.
That would be Congress, and who elects Congress?
Right now, I guess it would be illegal aliens. I don't know.
Going out of your way to sound stupid. That's
if you knew what his real beliefs is, tell him about the unhoused.
Done.
These aren't gotchas.
How about voter
ID? A fifth
ID?
grader could answer these questions. Done. Who elects them?
I know it's a boring conversation.
Who elects them? Done.
If we're going to have third grade
done. Who elects them? Done.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Oh, let me Google it because that's what liberals
might
do.
need
Google everything.
Who elects them? Done.
I have to go Google that. That's a
who
hard
elects
question.
them? Done.
Hold on, I'm checking Google.
Nothing changed.
Google says fake voters and mail-in voters and no illegal.
That's amazing. He won't even engage in anything. That's crazy. I swear Dunn is Snuggles, by the way. They sound exactly the same.
No, he's not. I know who he is. I've seen his face. I've talked to him on video chat.
To prove the point here, Dunn says we should have laws, and he believes that those laws should be put in by Congress, and those are elected democratically. If we can have laws that rule the workplace democratically by democratically elected officials, why can't we have democracy in the workplace? That was the question I was going to ask.
Dunn, listen, you didn't even get to hear it all. Dunn wants the purge. Dunn believes that the unhoused should just be left to die off. We shouldn't fund them at all. He's upset about capping the price of insulin because if you choose to eat too much sugar, you should just unalive. You just have no idea. You didn't even hear half of his beliefs. He just believes he's how we see we need to live communally and support each other, in the interest of public health and the commonwealth. In Dunn's mind, there's no commonwealth. It's just every man for themselves.
Yeah, here's the problem. I don't know why it's always the dumbest people that think that like they want the purge, but you still have to be smart. Like if we have the purge, it's not going to be like you're not winning. You're not smart enough to win. You won't build a coalition. It's not just all 1v1. People are going to gang up and they're going to beat you because you're dumb. Like if you can't engage in like a regular civil conversation, if you can't tell me who, I don't know, elects Congress, you're not going to do well in the purge. I don't know why people there's this group of people on the right who they can't hear anything, and they are convinced that they are the smart ones and that everybody else is dumb, despite the fact that like they're not killing it in life. It's not like they're out there running the world. They're just convinced that they're part of the system and they're a nobody in the system, but they know about the system. Let me just look at something real quick.
Well, I will continue talking. Oh, so we have a guest.
Oh, Cosmic Pizza, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
So your question is it panic time for Republicans?
Yeah.
And you also just made a statement about stupid people?
I was speaking specifically about
Right,
Dunn.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if that stupid people thing was related to how Republicans steal from public education, even like the free lunch programs and all that stuff, because those two can be connected. The more money you take from public education to give yourself a bigger lunch per diem, it makes more people stupid, which is what they want from us. Y'all need to remember, it's not about.
Hold on. I'm asking, what are you saying? Who is stealing from public education for food?
Republicans.
Republicans are stealing.
They steal from the public education. Yep.
For like school lunch? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No. Historically, Republicans do not want to fund school lunches. So I might have missed the story. I may not know what you're talking about. I'm not clear.
So the main message is that they use all this BS to keep us divided, guys. You need to remember that it's us against the rich. The politicians and the government, it's all just a play. They're all just puppets. This is all just a ploy. Like they say,
I agree with that statement. Yeah, that's true.
They killed Julius Caesar because they refused. It was like, oh wait, we can't have lifelong senators. Let's just kill them off. I'm sorry, do them off. I shouldn't say that. Do them off. But then we have, then we have senators and council people sitting in office until they die, until they go. So I don't understand, like, what democracy do we cherry pick? Like, what is this? And y'all doing these lives just keep us divided. When it's us against the rich exploit us. The rich human trafficking our children.
Just out of curiosity, is this your first time on?
Have you ever listened to our live? Because everything you're saying about us is absolutely not true.
This is what we talk about.
You obviously have never listened to a word I've said, because I have never refuted a single thing you're saying. Well, I'm just informing you that you are saying things about us that are absolutely not factual.
Yeah, the person above you that was just speaking to you is like an advocate of I wouldn't say an advocate, but like somebody who would lean more like communist or socialist. I'm a pretty far left Democrat.
I'm a nihilist. I think they're all corrupt. I want to go French Revolution and get the guillotines.
It's not corrupt. You're talking about economic system. There is corruption in any economic system. Socialism is an economic system. Communism is an economic system. Like, there is corruption in capitalism and socialism, communism. All that is possible.
Sweden is doing it right. Aren't there other countries that have it way better?
Yeah, that's socialism. It's called democratic socialism. They're heavily regulating capitalism. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I know that. And then we have a lot of boomers in America who get Social Security and get food stamps or get their disability, but then also say they don't want to be socialism while partaking in socialism. And I blame that on being uneducated. Our problem too is the uneducated are so confidently stupid They're so confidently narcissist. And I don't know how to, make people realize too that abortion laws are just population control. Like, I don't understand how to get people to realize we're just pawns.
Look, I think maybe you saw what I had up and you maybe assumed we were on different sides. We advocate for this all the time. Like, there's no question that with the transfer of wealth that we've seen, there's no question that billionaires are running the country, that corporations are running the country. There's no question about that. In fact, we regularly try and preach that, is that when people say abolish the government, or the government is the problem, I think that they're missing the point. Like, they're missing that the government is largely being dictated what they should do by these billionaires. That what you have to do is you have to take the power from the billionaires, and their power is their wealth. And so we have to advocate for policies that extract that wealth and bring it back down to all of us, and create a more equitable system. So I think maybe just being new here, you saw like this said Trump country, and we were talking about Republicans, and you feel like we're divided. Like, it's fair criticism to say that we divide, but probably on lines that you would agree with a little more. Like, we're pretty harsh on MAGA Republicans, and we've been harsh on Joe Biden today. We're harsh on Democrats as well.
You're right. They're all corrupt. You're absolutely right. But I just don't understand, what can we do to make it better, to make it more fair, to make this a better place? Why revolution or like V for Vendetta kind of style is the only another Boston Tea Party. It's the only resolution I have,
Yeah, but I get that, because sometimes it feels like nothing's ever going to change. But the truth is, like, we're far more likely to fix our system and get rid of the billionaire class through voting for progressive people who will actually go after the billionaire class, than we are to have like this nihilist revolution. We can't agree on anything in the country. I don't know how we would possibly have a revolution. Like, half the country would have a revolution to take us back to pre-constitution and allow people to be property, and allow ethno-states, and allow ethnic cleansing, eugenics, and the other half would be like, we want to be communists. Like, I don't know how a revolution would work. We're nowhere near united.
Well, the point of it is what we have power over. Like the other day, that man, I don't know if you remember him, his name was Chip Barnes. He came up here and he was referring to a general strike. When we talk about like revolution, it's not necessarily like attacking the government. I think that's ridiculous. Like the American military and defense contractors have made it so like that's the dumbest thing we could possibly do. But what do we have control over? Like, we have control. We are a workforce, that our labor is very necessary in this country, and our consumption of goods is very necessary in this country. And that it's like, you can look up general strike and people that are planning them, but it has to do with largely at least about 10, we got to get millions of people in this country at the same time on board, not unique to corporations, who are willing to stop consumption and stop labor at the same time.
You're saying just like a massive boycott, just a massive
general strike. Yes.
Great. And I'm all for that. Like, I've done the things where, this day you don't buy, like I haven't bought for Black Friday for years. I haven't bought from certain companies for years. I even boycotted Chick-fil-A for years because they were donating to anti-LGBTQT while also hiring these same people, depending on them for a workforce, which is hypocritical. So I'm all about trying to make it better. But even if the Electoral College, even people we vote in, they override our votes anyway. We make rallies and votes and petitions for people that we pay for an office, and they just sit there and take our taxes to argue or give themselves a day off when it's like, oh, we'll shut down. We can't come to agreements on the things you guys want. That's what we're here to do that. So I don't understand, like, how do we get them to say we outnumber them? And the military, we outnumber them too, right?
That kind of change is difficult, and you're right. Like, you saw the squad come in, they advocated for a lot of things. You saw some people on the far left advocating for force the vote when it came, and I believe that was on healthcare. But the problem is like, you have to do this incrementally. You have to keep voting. You have to start on a local level. You have to vote for progressives, and you have to show that, like, nobody's going to believe that these more socialistic policies work until they actually see them working. We do need evidence to show that it's going to work. And that evidence for a lot of Americans, like looking overseas, is not going to be good enough, because we're fighting against, over 100 years of propaganda saying socialism and communism is akin to the devil, right? So we have to, on local levels, put in policies that we could mimic on a federal level, and we have to show that they work. And so that's the thing, like incremental change is a motherfucker. It is not fun to wait for, but you can see what happened with like the Republicans when their fringe group tried to take over the party. You now have a House that got nothing done. Literally nothing got done. It's chaos. They can't pass anything. So I understand the frustration of those who think that change is happening too slowly. I agree with that. But the only thing we can really do is advocate for more and more progressive people. The more progressives you get into government, the more pressure you ultimately put on moderates. And if you start winning elections, it forces more Republicans to at least shift left. And that's the thing that sucks. There's 350 million people in this country. Most people don't agree about anything. So like the change has to be incremental. And I do think we're at a tipping point right now where everyday Americans, every single American can recognize that, yeah, that doesn't make sense that Elon Musk can have that much money while people literally can't afford a home. Like there's people that live on the streets that have full-time jobs. That's a problem. And I think any American, right, left, doesn't matter. I think every American can recognize that that's not right. And that's why we have to slowly build. And the frustration, I don't know, scream into a pillow, get a punching bag. I don't know. I understand your frustration, but the answer can't be like, fuck this, we're going to just create chaos, because that also won't work. Unless we were talking like we had 70% of the country that agreed, then sure, let's do chaos, right? Then sure, then we can have the takeover because we have the numbers, but we don't have the numbers.
I just want to clarify: a general strike is not chaos. It's just organized and meant to like open negotiations and consolidate power. Like that's not chaos. It's not anarchy.
I was talking about nihilism specifically.
Yeah, just making sure we're not including a general strike in the. But yeah, I concur.
But you're right there. Like, thank you for bringing that up. That. Like Jeff Bezos, like we all as a community, as a world or America, whatever, we made him rich. We've bought into his system, his website, all that stuff. We help make him rich, yet we pay more in taxes than he does as a billionaire. Your school teachers, your regular working class people pay more into taxes than the billionaires do.
But would it make you feel better to know that he got to go on vacation to the moon? Doesn't that make you feel better?
No, not at all.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I'm not on that, but like you come into military, like state legislation where like I live in South Carolina and I hate it. It's terrible. And they refused to have dispensaries. We were the last ones to get tattoo parlors. We were the last ones to really get anything of our own say.
I don't know how anyone's making it without dispensaries in this country. I don't know.
No, I'm saying, but that money, that tax money could go into our roads or schools, charging us for things that they know we already partake in, but they get a better cut on DUIs. So that's why I have a brewery on every other corner, on every other street in downtown. There's a brewery, and because there's more money profit in DUIs than there are in us just smoking a joint and going to bed. Yeah.
Well, you saw in Louisiana. I didn't even see this, but again, Jones showed me this yesterday. In Louisiana, they're just openly saying like, "Hey, we're letting too many people out of jail, and our local economy can't survive if we don't have these prisons full of people. Like, who's going to clean the roads? Where are we going to get our funding from the federal government? Our city will collapse unless we fill these jails with more prisoners." You're absolutely right. Like, it's a bad system. And South Carolina, by the way, I went to South Carolina a few years ago, and I looked before. I'm like, do they have medical MMJ? And it's like, yeah. I was like, cool. And I had my card at the time. And I got there and I was like, where's the dispensary? He's like, oh, we don't have any. Like, wait, it's legal, but you don't have any? They're like, that's right. I was like, where do you go? They're like, you can go to Georgia, but it's illegal to bring it back from Georgia.
Yep, like, and that's a setup.
This law makes no sense.
Like, we were allowed, I had to get my first tattoos at 17 in 2005 at a dude's house because as an 18-year-old, I couldn't get one. I would have had to go out of state even. It's a basic tattoo, but I could have joined the military at any time. which doesn't make any sense. I can sign up to give my body to the government, but I don't have rights to make choices on it. You know what I mean? And I just see that as like all sabotage. But what I'm worried about too is if we really do have an uprising and we realize we're being exploited and we're being used and we finally get done with it, the military, our military people that pay taxes and are just workers, working class people like we are, you and I, anybody else, somebody that works at McDonald's, somebody that's working at, a manufacturing line, are they going to roll the tanks on us like Tiananmen Square or like Red Square in Russia?
Well,
when
you
they're
read
protesting?
the January 6th indictment, the federal indictment of Donald Trump. That's what's in there is Jeffrey Clark discussing with Donald Trump about the Insurrection Act to turn the American military on U.S. citizens if they won't accept, the overturning of our right for our vote to be counted. I mean, that's what they're talking about in the indictment. When you talk about having the U.S. military at the southern border, that's the same thing. Turning the American military on U.S. soil is a huge constitutional issue. It's a violation of the Constitution.
Right, and then so a lot of police departments were getting militarized, like they were getting more budget, more money to go get tanks, to get more SWAT material, and this has been happening since after COVID. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I do kind of think it's odd that it's a population control and then abortion comes in. I'm like, are you trying to negotiate and control the next generations because you acknowledge how many we just lost? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. But look, there's people waiting. Come back again. I apologize for the hot start there, but don't give up. Like, keep fighting. And look, I've lived in South Carolina. I can understand.
Save me. Someone save me.
Yeah.
I followed you, Cosmic Pizza.
Yeah, I could see how it would be
I followed y'all too. I'm so glad that y'all are actually on the right side. Change. Yes, please. I'll come back later.
Right.
Kisses.
All right, thank you. Best of luck to you.
See ya. I want to see who else is next.
All right. Terrell Thomas, I see. Are you opposition there? I see right side there. Was that I know, Toots, I see you there too. I just want to make sure we get to Terrell if he was opposition. W guest, I agree with that.
Guys, tap the screen.
Okay,
that's my job. Also, there's 1,000 so RTP lost his main account. If you have not followed, this is his backup RTP talks to. Follow Jay's backup account and share the live with your favorite or least favorite Republican. We have about an hour left and we'd love to talk to more people. Hi, Terrell.
How y'all doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm 100% opposition when it comes down to Donald Trump. And the reason why is, of course, we've never seen nothing like this in history, what's taking place. But who's to blame? Okay.
What are you talking about specific? When you say we haven't seen this before, what do you mean?
A former president or a president, being arraigned in a courtroom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's definitely a milestone. But who's to really blame? My only question would be,
who
Donald Trump, all he does is place blame on everybody else. What happened to being a man and being masculine and, taking responsibility for your own freaking actions? Wait a minute now. If that had to been me, you, or the lovely lady that's here on your panel, no one would be fussing about this.
Just to be clear, she's my co-host. She's not like a panelist. I just want to be clear on that.
Excuse me?
We do this every day together. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I would just say
nothing.
Felice is actually my co-host. She's not for people that are here. She's here every day.
This is my first time. I'm sorry about that, bro. I didn't know how your platform was set up. But what I'm saying to you is, this is a big ass whiny man, right? That everything that ever happens in his life. Wait a minute, we go through the struggle. I don't know if there's some real people down there in chat. I don't care. It just seems like some of y'all brain. I didn't come in here to name call.
All the people in the chat, no convictions. Stop.
I came in here to speak my truth.
Yeah,
my truth is, if that had been any one of us, right, facing all these,
we'd be in Guantanamo. We'd be in Guantanamo right now.
we'd be somewhere face down, 100 FBI people raiding our houses. We wouldn't have any freaking say in the matter. So for all you people that are taking up for a grown man, wait a minute, then you guys want to talk about the trial that's going on right now? Well, actually, they just had closing arguments, and it's coming to a head. He is guilty of that shit. He is definitely guilty of it.
He's liable, yes.
Y'all. You cannot piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. You know what I mean?
True,
Come on. Y'all, so some of y'all need to get a backbone. We
Amen.
left y'all back in fantasy land because you know what? I mean, and I'm not going to try to use a race card at all. I don't want to do that because number one, I'm for everybody. You know what I mean? I don't care. As long as you succeeding, you minding your business, you going to work, you doing your thing. Hey, hats off to that man or that woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm in love with you. I'm in love with what you do. Okay. But when it comes to somebody that was number one giving the world, he was giving it.
Everything. Nepo baby.
He was giving everything. And for him to squander and lose it like he's now, what's happening, y'all? It is really karma coming back to bite him in the ass.
That's right.
You can't expect to do wrong on every turn and expect right. That's madness. That's madness.
Too many crimes. He's gonna get held responsible for one.
Right. It's all out in the open. Y'all trying to say Trump is 100% innocent. Don't y'all stop that foolery. Stop that fugazi mess, man. Come on now. If it had been an old layperson with no money, y'all would be right there with the pitchforks. Hang him, kill him. He did it. And if it was Obama, excuse me, and then I'm going to land my plane, bro. But if this had been Obama, just a fraction, just a breath of what this man has done or has been allegedly, or he's allegedly done, I don't know if he done it or not, but by reading, if you go and read, you can understand.
That's where you lose them, Terrell, is the reading.
Right.
That's where you lost them, was reading.
Reading is essential, y'all. It really is. It really can help you to understand some shit. Get some information in your mind and quit pulling stuff out your ass.
Where have you been my whole life? You could come on.
I don't know, bro. But I don't know what's wrong with these folk. You know what? I be like, oh my goodness. Okay, well, they talking about Biden. How is Biden dividing people?
That's right.
Come on. How is he dividing people? Please tell me this.
Come up and tell Terrell.
Tell me how is he dividing people when you got the divider in chief, well, ex-divider in chief. That's all he do. He always hollering about politics, but he's the one bringing the politics to the table. Yes. Even in court, he's trying to bring politics. Ingram, whatever his name, gave him a chance to speak, even after he really didn't have to because his lawyers did not file the paperwork in time. Y'all need to read again. It's essential. Because most of y'all say, oh, he won't let him talk. It's not about talk. In court, it's certain jargon. It's a certain format you have to follow even in court, man. And Edgar, all he did was set the law. Listen, you can talk all you want to, but keep it relevant to what's going on here. But you know what he tried to do? He tried to get in there, oh, me, poor me, and how you guys are pouncing on me, and how you're trying to make it hard for me, election interference and all this bullshit. I don't want to hear that, man. You broke the law. You are in a court of law. You are not on your platform right now with your campaign. You're in a court of law, so you're going to have to abide by the rules of the damn court, man.
Preach.
You did not go and you did not from the beginning say you wanted pro se. You didn't want to defend yourself. But this man still gave you the leisure and the luxury to get up and address the court. And what do? The same shit you've been doing, blaming everybody else. Crying. This is a political witch hunt. And you know what he said? I'm tired of this shit. A big whiny ass, grown ass man. You're not gonna do this in my court. Do it on TV. Do it with Fox and all of them. You're not gonna do it over here. I'm not gonna let that happen. He chin checked his ass. You feel me? Everybody got a plan until you get hit in the face. The judge just hit him in the face. And I'm gonna land my plane there because there's so much up in me. about this grown ass man that y'all trying to defend. I don't care what color he was. If he was black, if he was Haitian, Jamaican, I don't give a damn. Take responsibility. And I land my plane with my nuts dragging on the runway. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Man's my hero. This man's my hero. I followed you, Terrell.
Hey, come back sometime. I loved every second of that. Thank you, Terrell.
I would be in that cult. I'd be in Terrell's cult.
Yeah, if you.
I finally found a religion that fits me. Can
you don't
if
have
somebody
your own
wants
church.
to preach this on Sunday, like I'm listening.
That was unbelievable.
Oh man, I needed that. I feel so much better now.
Well, you're gonna feel worse probably.
Oh, I like him. He's from Long Island. I like this guy. Oh no, Staten Island. Staten Island.
After Terrell, that was.
I know that was impressive.
It's like a band going on after the Rolling Stones. This is killing me.
Yeah, good luck to you. What's up?
Oh,
how you been, brother?
I've been good, and I'm glad you're back up, dude. That's so disgusting. What you saying, I saw when they took you down. It's just ridiculous. I'm so sick of these people. But anyway, I don't know who the hell does it, but it's really bad. Stop. Let people speak their minds, man. You do it, but the people that report, they're just the worst kind. Anyway,
well, I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Yeah. This is what I want. How are you doing? How's your sister doing up there? You guys are great. I want to ask you a question because this, I think, is what's important. We always like to think critically, and that's what I like to do, and I think you do too. So now, coming to the next election season, are you going to think there's anything weird? Is anything going to ring a bell when another pandemic comes out? You know, when this next pandemic, is that going to like ring a bell to you? Is anything going to hit you where you're going to say, wow, this is weird. We just had one before the last election, and now we're having one again before this election. Is that going to ring any bells, or is that just going to be like, oh, no, it's just nothing. It's just a coincidence? Like, how does
that? Probably not. No, because, well, look, like, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to believe, I've never been more sick in my life than I was when I had COVID, ever. I mean, my family, my ex, she, to this day, then this has been whatever 2 or 3 years ago now. To this day, she can't eat some of her favorite foods. It tastes like actual garbage to her, like when you open your trash can and you get a whiff of that. It was almost a year. There were 3 things she could eat. She could eat like mac and cheese, avocado toast, and chai tea. And that's literally all she ate for over a year. I lost family members. My dad lost all of his friends basically because he was undergoing chemotherapy at the time during COVID, so he couldn't go anywhere. The effects of COVID were devastating, and Donald Trump is not meaningful enough, and he wasn't doing enough, and he wasn't changing enough for me to even make the leap to think that there was some worldwide conspiracy to stop him. Stop him from what? What was he doing?
Well, okay, that's a good question. And first of all, I'm really sorry about everybody that got hurt because I do agree that there was something out there. I just probably disagree with you about what exactly it was. But okay, so what did they want to stop him of? Well, you're seeing it right now. They're literally trying to take him off of every ballot. They're trying to take him off the ballot.
I know, but
stop him again.
But stop him from doing what? I want to know what he was. Because people tell us all the time we're afraid of Donald Trump. Let's be very clear about a couple of things. Number one, in Colorado, he was removed from the ballot by Republicans.
Well, just
that had nothing to do with Joe Biden, and in Maine, that had nothing to do with Joe Biden either. The people brought it, and that was the law. Like. This is the law. Like it or not, this is the law. So are there people that don't want him on the ballot? Sure.
So hold on. When you say Colorado,
all I'm saying is that by itself does not prove to me a conspiracy. You've got to explain to me
I'm gonna explain
what he's doing, what he did that was so great that people wanted to stop it.
A little bit more. First of all, in Colorado, the people that brought the case up, they might have called themselves Republicans, but they weren't. But the court was all Democrat. So the courts that actually put it through, they were Democrats. But the point is this. That this elite that you don't agree that exists.
But here's the question. So here's the hard part with doing this is when you look at a court case and this is the real lasting damage that Donald Trump has done to this country forever. the Republicans will never again trust a judge if that judge is not a Republican or if that judge ruled against Donald Trump. The only thing Republicans care about is the ruling. So if you have a problem with the Colorado ruling, that's fine, but let's talk about its merits long before we get to the judgment. Like, if we can go through the merits and we can go through the case and we can say, okay, clearly clearly there was no reason for them to make this judgment. Well, then we can start looking at corruption. The problem I have with most Republicans is you look at corruption first before you even know the merits of the case. I watched, I watched the Trump lawyer speak to the judges and make his case. There was nothing about that case that was unfair.
Okay,
there was nothing, like, you can go watch it. It was very civil.
Let me go a different route. Okay, you know Rules for Radicals, correct? It's the liberal rule book from Saul Alinsky. Okay, Rules for Radicals.
Yeah, let me tell you something about liberals. We don't give a fuck about Saul Alinsky.
Wait, let me just tell you, one of the rules is it's the ends justify the means, which means that it doesn't matter what means you take to get your ends, they are justified, which means you will cheat, you will steal, you can do whatever you want, get to those ends, and it's justified by any means necessary.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
So now,
let's talk about
why would they do this? It's part of their rule book. So
let's talk about anybody who's been caught cheating. Did Donald Trump lose the election in 2020?
I think that it was completely. I think the whole election was completely fraud. I mean,
now let me just
6 states.
Perfect. I disagree with you, but let's just go down that route. You think the election was stolen?
Did they shut down 6 states?
Therefore, the ends justify the means, right? So now, because Republicans had this belief.
No, it's not my belief. That's your rule.
Hold on. Just let me finish. Because Republicans, MAGA, had this belief that the election was stolen, they then thought it was okay to storm the Capitol. They then thought it was okay to hold on. They then thought it was okay to create fake sets of electors. They then think it's okay for Donald Trump to obstruct justice and to hide documents. See, what you're explaining with Saul Alinsky is literally what MAGA is doing right now. They are breaking the law right now, and they're doing it because they said the election was stolen. You are explaining what MAGA is doing.
Storming the Capitol was on January 20th, 2017, is when Donald Trump had to be taken downstairs, but they didn't say nothing about that. When about 12 Secret Service agents were injured by
how many of those people entered the Capitol?
They tried to. They had to literally take Donald Trump out of the Capitol.
Wasn't my question. By the way, Donald Trump disagrees with you. By the way, Donald Trump disagrees with you.
Not the Capitol.
Toots, two things. Donald Trump disagrees with you. He says that he was never taken down to that bunker. That the only reason he ever went to the bunker was just for a routine check to make sure everything was okay. So to be clear, you have an argument with Donald Trump here on the facts.
No. My argument was I saw what they were doing. They burnt down a church that was there.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 250K.
They literally that was the most craziest thing I've ever seen. And you're looking at January 6th when it was a bunch of old ladies in there walking around with a flag being led around.
We all watched it. You can't stop it. We all watched it on TV. You don't need to tell us what it was. We all saw it.
Here's the difference. Toots, let me explain to you the difference here. The people largely that were committing violence during the BLM riots and the protest at the White House, those were, generally speaking, those people claimed to be Antifa, anti-fascists. The anti-fascists don't like Joe Biden. They don't like Donald Trump. They don't like any form of fascism, and they see our current system as a form of fascism, whether it's Trump or Biden in office. The difference is that everybody that showed up on January 6th came directly from a Donald Trump rally, wearing his gear, carrying his flags, using those flags and that gear to beat people at the Capitol. The difference here, I'm not saying that what happened, burning, hold on. Let me land this. I'm not saying that there weren't other people who committed violence. I'm telling you that only one of these instances came directly from and felt they were representing a specific political candidate, and they were doing it based on a lie. So this fits what you just said when you talked about Saul Alinsky.
Right.
When you talked about the ends justifying the means,
Right.
you are perfectly describing what
Oh,
MAGA
so that's
did
not your
on
rule.
January
So now
6th.
so I mean, the Democrats said the party switched, because if I was a Democrat, I would say that as well. Now
No,
you're
we're not going backwards.
We're
not going backwards. Let me prove the point here. Do you think that those people that entered the Capitol broke the law?
Whoever entered the Capitol, I believe, broke the law.
Okay, so then if the ends don't justify the means, if this doesn't perfectly describe Republicans,
But that wasn't an insurrection.
Hold on. If this doesn't perfectly describe Republicans, please explain to me why Donald Trump has said he will pardon all of them.
Because they're being persecuted unfairly. Because he thinks that them breaking the law was okay because of what they believed. He thinks that they were there for 3 years already. Some of them weren't even charged with anything.
He's never said that. Toots, you don't get to make new arguments that he's not making.
Listen, this is the deal. There's over 400
It's not the deal. Wait, stay with me, Toots. I just need you to explain to me how we both agree that it was against the law for them to be there.
Do you agree
Toots? I'm just
2020
reframing. I promise I'm going to give you a chance to answer. I'm reframing the question so I make sure that you give me an answer. And I need you to answer the question and not move on to a different topic, not what about, not point to somebody else. See, there you go. Toots, stop. Okay. I need you to answer this question. We can go to another topic when we're done, but let's do one topic at a time. I need you to explain to me how, if we agree that these people committed crimes and Donald Trump says that he's going to pardon them, and the reason he has said he's going to pardon them is because the election was stolen. So he believes they were justified in committing those crimes.
He believes
how is that? How I'm not done. Goddamn, dude.
Okay,
I'm not done.
Go ahead.
How is that not exactly what you explained with Saul Alinsky, that you're allowed to break the law as long as you believe in it?
Okay. Because he believes that the punishment does not reflect the crime that they were charged with. They were charged with unlawful entry. All right. So
some of them were charged with assault. Some of them were charged with assault with a deadly weapon.
So the summer of 2020, the summer of love, when they were burning down places, they were literally they literally took over a town in Seattle and called it their own. You know,
and which politician sent them there?
Which what?
Which politician sent them there?
Well, let's see.
Who were they representing?
We had Maxine Waters saying, "Get up, everybody get in their face." We had.
Did she? I know, but did she send them?
Kamala Harris said that this should never end. We should continue doing it.
Who pardoned them? The people that were arrested during the.
They didn't even go to jail.
There were arrests during what you call the Summer of Love.
In New York City, the police were told to stand down while they were burning, while they were literally breaking stuff right inside.
There were absolutely arrests. I'm not saying that everybody. Listen, dude, you gotta listen. Listen, there were arrests. That isn't the same thing as saying everybody who committed a crime got arrested. I said there were arrests.
Listen.
Nope, almost there. Who pardoned them? Who offered to pardon them?
All right, so I don't know what you're talking about. Who pardoned?
Did anybody offer to pardon them?
Nobody went. None of them went to jail.
Lots of people went to jail.
Who's still in jail that did all that? Nobody.
Oh, I'm sure there's still people in jail. I could find that out.
Let's find out how many people are in jail for literally.
But who pardoned them?
Stuff down, huh?
Who offered to pardon them?
The attorney generals that were put in there.
The attorney general does not have the ability to pardon.
The DAs that were put in there.
The DA cannot pardon.
They're not pardoning them. They're not charging them.
The question I asked Toots was who offered to pardon them.
Listen, but how do you get pardoned if you're not charged with anything? You first
there were people that were charged. There were people that were charged and went to jail and they weren't pardoned.
When you have corrupt DAs and attorney generals, the guilty people do not get charged and the innocent people get convicted. That's what happens.
So this is the problem. This is the problem. You are a Saul Alinskyite. The problem with you is you believe that everybody that doesn't believe what you believe is corrupt. That the DA is not charging people maybe was corrupt. Maybe by the way. Hold on, brother. Stop, please. When you enter the Capitol, there is not a single place you can go without multiple cameras pointed at you. It's well lit. It happened during the day. It was a small enclosure. It was really fucking easy to figure out who was in there. When you are protesting in masks on the street and there are hundreds of thousands of people It is very difficult, even if you have somebody who commits a crime and you somehow get a clear picture of them committing that crime. How are you going to find them?
Dude, it's not even about finding them. I'm talking about people that were literally.
Well, then how can you charge them and put them in jail if you can't find them? Wait, Toots, stay with me.
Look, hold on.
Stay with me.
People were arrested already, and then they were let out by the DAs. They weren't charged. They were literally arrested by the police. They already knew who they were.
You have to have. Do you have any examples of somebody that was arrested and there was proof they committed a crime and they were let off?
There's literally, if not more than hundreds, there's thousands.
Could I have
the summer of 2020?
Wait, Toots, god damn, dude, you got to stop.
I don't know their names. What do you think?
Okay. So
guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 275K.
These are all just feelings that you have. You can't. The problem that I have with discussing these things with you is everything you bring up to me is just like these feelings that you have. I would like it. I've never seen once, and all the times I've debated, not once has anybody ever come up and said, here's somebody who committed violence during the summer of love. There was concrete evidence that they committed the crime and they were let off. And until you can show me that, then I don't really care what your feelings are.
These aren't feelings.
Well, then where's an example?
I just look up all the people that got arrested in 2020 and see how many of them went to jail. See how many of them were just let off. They were not charged.
Again, you're missing. I said you.
Because we saw the police.
You could be arrested. Listen, brother. Goddamn. Listen.
Let me just.
Toots, no, because you are going out of your way to misunderstand what I'm saying. I need you to hear this one more time. I need you to show me evidence of not somebody who was arrested and let go. I need you to show me evidence of somebody who was arrested. It's proven that there was evidence against them and they were let go. You keep missing the middle piece. You can't. You cannot keep somebody in jail without evidence. You cannot charge somebody without evidence.
Right.
You can be arrested without virtually any evidence, but you can't be held and charged. So, in order for your narrative to be right, you've got to then, and you can't answer this question. So you don't even know if your narrative's right.
All right, so no,
you don't know.
I answered this question. I said that the DAs and the attorney generals are all corrupted. They've been put in there by George Soros money, and they're all corrupt. We're seeing it. They're letting out all this money. But let me just get back to my original point.
You're a grown man. You should know. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in sharing conspiracy theories with you.
All right. Anyway,
I'm interested in fact-based. I'm interested in fact-based discussions, and you haven't brought a single fact to this discussion yet.
I'm going to bring the fact right now. This is my original point. Now you say conspiracy theory. So now, when another virus comes out and they try to shut everything down, okay, you're going to say, where's your facts base? You're going to call it another conspiracy theory. This is the same way I know about the DAs. I'm going to tell you that another thing's going to come out so they can try to shut everything down, make people wear masks, and try to mail in ballots. The whole thing's going to be done again. So you're going to have to start to connect the dots to see. It's a repetition.
No, Toots. Wait, hold on. The problem that you have is that all the data, the overwhelming amount of data confirms that COVID was dangerous, that the United States was handling it the best that they could, that vaccinations work, that social distancing worked, that even masks, while largely ineffective if it's not an N95, could provide some protection. The data is overwhelming. The problem I have with conservatives specifically, because they tend to be conspiracy theorists, is on every subject, you guys, it's one thing if like on one subject you go with the minority of the data, but on every subject, Toots, every single thing you believe, you are in direct odds with the overwhelming majority of scientific proof. Every single time. Every time the data is very clear, you find some small way to disbelieve the data, because I think, Toots, you want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to feel like you understand what's going on. But every single time, how come you guys are always on the side without the data?
All right, so here, I'm going to tell you why. When you follow the money, here, like the Russian collusion, we knew right away that was a lie. How did we know?
Oh, dear God.
Unequivocally, here's the problem again. Toots, stop.
I'm just going to go through a few.
Stop, Toots.
Let me go through a couple of them.
No. I'm going to stop you on each one.
He wants to run through a few conspiracy theories.
Yeah, if you're going to make a list, if you're going to go through a list, after each one, I'm going to stop you. Russian collusion. It has been, first of all, nobody ever investigated Russian collusion. It was a coordination between Russia and the Trump campaign. There are people who pled guilty. That was not a hoax. It was absolutely proven true that people that worked on the Trump campaign were discussing campaign strategies with people from Russia. They coordinated, at the very least, they gave each other data. And there are people that have pled guilty to this. Stop saying it's a hoax. It makes you sound stupid. It's not a hoax.
All right, so
okay, go to your next one. So
next
0 for 1.
My next one is the 51 intelligence agents. When we know that the Hunter laptop was his laptop, they said it was Russian collusion.
How do you know that it was his laptop?
Because he said it was his laptop.
What laptop? Where did you see the laptop?
Hunter Biden.
Where did you see the laptop?
Where did I see it? I mean, what? So you think that the 51 intelligence agents were telling the truth then, that it wasn't?
No, I think you don't. Yeah, I do. And I think you don't. I think, what did the letter say?
You don't know the facts of the case. That's
I know
the
the
letter.
facts of the case, believe
What
me.
did the letter say?
Yeah, you don't even know what they said because you're saying it wrong.
The letter was very, first of all, you know who wrote the letter?
No, no. And Toots, answered Mike. No, Toots, I can't let you monologue. I just want you to tell me basically what the letter said.
Okay, letter written by Blinken said that this laptop here has the appearances of being Russian disinformation.
Wrong. That's not what it said.
All of the
Wrong.
51
Wait,
intelligence
hold on.
agents that they sent.
Okay, Toots, stop. So I have to correct you.
Oh, go ahead.
He did not say that the laptop has earmarks of Russian disinformation. He said the story that is being released has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. And that is because there was a single source. And the single source apparently was just somebody that worked for Trump. And that source of the laptop was a copy, a supposed copy of the hard drive. We didn't have the laptop. We didn't have the original hard drive. We had a supposed copy of the laptop, of the hard drive. That's all we had.
Well,
so when those intelligence agents came out and they said, basically they just said, make sure you get multiple sources on this. And one organization who wanted to be first, everybody had this information and they were all waiting to get a second source, except for, I think it was the Post. And they decided they were going to publish it without a second source. And then it came out that they didn't have a second source. They have since apologized. I believe the person who put out the article,
main author took his name off the byline because he said as a journalist, like, I can't leave my name on here. We don't have a second source. So it's actually an assistant who barely worked on the article who has her name on the byline now.
Okay, but anyway, all right. So this
0 for 2. What's your third one?
We're gonna disagree on this. What's my third one? The third one is the Hillary Clinton 33,000 emails. Then we got the Wiener laptop.
What? Okay, so wait. Remember, I told you I'm going to stop you after each one. Okay. So the third, what are the missing emails? Where? Why do we? Hold on. Let me ask. Why do we know that there were 33 emails or 33,000 emails that were missing?
Because they were subpoenaed by Congress.
How did Congress know that there were 33,000 emails?
You would have to ask Congress that, but they
no, you don't. No, you just had to watch the hearing, and so now Toots. Now I'm going to give you the answer.
So hold on.
No, listen. Be quiet. Be quiet. Toots. I'm going to give you the answer. The reason they knew the exact number of emails is because emails were forwarded from her email address to her home server, and the government has a record of that. So even though those emails were deleted from her server, we have copies of those emails. We know what every single one of them said. The real investigation into Hillary Clinton was twofold. One, was she allowed to have that server? And the answer was no, she was not allowed to have that server. And the second question was, did she share classified information with people outside, or was there classified information that was held on that server? And what they found is, yes, there was some, but most of it had been classified after she had sent it. So at the time when she sent it, it wasn't classified.
Okay, so now you have a secretary.
So what's the big conspiracy there? I need you to explain to me what the big conspiracy is.
They're going after Trump, who's the president.
I need you to explain what the conspiracy is with Hillary Clinton. I just gave you the facts of the case.
She deleted emails that were subpoenaed by Congress.
Do you know if those were deleted before or after the subpoena?
She said she deleted.
I'm asking you a question. Do you know?
They literally smashed it with a hammer.
I know, but listen. Do you know if that was destroyed before or after the subpoena?
Should I quote Hillary Clinton?
No, I just want you to answer the question.
I mean, listen.
Long before is the answer. Long before. In fact, there was a standing order. There was a standing order that once Hillary Clinton had opened an email that was on that server, that every single day they would go through her read emails and they would delete them. It was a standing order. They deleted emails every single day that there was a server. This was not that they see. The problem is you guys believe that once she got caught, then she. What's that?
If you could just hear me out for this, and then I gotta go.
Okay, but if it's not fact based, I'm going to stop you.
No, I'm not going to back this. Let's talk about conspiracies. Every conspiracy, until the conspiracy comes true, all of the information you're telling us never comes out. So why isn't all of this said before it becomes true? Why isn't all of this said? Why isn't everybody talking about this like they should come out and speak the truth like you're supposedly speaking now, and telling everybody everything that we already knew, so you could, instead of defending it after we find out what it is?
Fair question, Toots. Let's say, when was the last time you went on a vacation?
Well, it depends.
Or just tell me where you went. Last time you went on a vacation, or any vacation.
Outside of New York, yeah. Probably about 10 years ago.
Okay, where'd you go?
I went to Vegas.
Okay, well, I'm going to start a rumor that when you were in Vegas, you robbed a casino, and then you took that money and you buried that money out in the desert. And since then, you've just been sitting there on that money waiting until an opportunity you could get back to the desert. But you couldn't do it quickly. You had to wait, and you're going to wait probably 20 years to go get that money. And my evidence for that is that somebody robbed a casino that was roughly your height, and that's my only evidence. Now, would you have had any reason to go around telling all of your friends that you never robbed a casino in Las Vegas before I brought that accusation? No. The conspiracy theory will always come first. The response to the when you say why is the response after, it's because when somebody gets accused of something, that's when they offer their defense. Nobody offers a defense before they are accused of something.
Yeah, but hold on. No, you're absolutely right. But this is the point. You said that if the accusations were going out, once the accusations are going out is when I would come out and say something. But
that's what happened in all of these cases. That's exactly what happened.
No. This is what happens. The conspiracies come out, and then 7 months later, when they're finally proven true, then the defense comes out. So because sometimes, especially if you're Hillary Clinton, you have to understand there are hundreds of conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton. And if she responded to every conspiracy theory about her, she would get nothing done. What you do, the reason you wait, and like, she may not even know every conspiracy theory about her. She probably doesn't. In fact, I'm almost certain that she doesn't. But when it becomes public, and when it gets in the news, and now you have to defend yourself, you do. Otherwise, as a public figure, you're like, I'm not that much of. I'm barely a public figure. There are TikToks out there. If you search my name, there are TikToks out there accusing me of things that I didn't do. Like things that I said on lives. I don't go and I'm not going to address any of those unless they were to get promoted and a bunch of people saw them, and then I would. Otherwise, I'm chasing my time for people who just want attention. Conspiracy theorists want attention, so they try and push these narratives out there as much as they possibly can. But like you're so wrapped up in it, Toots, that my concern with you is that the only thing you believe is conspiracy theories. You won't believe what's happening right in front of your face. You believe everything's a conspiracy theory. And that's funny you say that, because when you saw Joe Biden literally say on camera that if they don't fire this dude from Burisma, if they don't fire the guy who's interrogating my son, they ain't gonna get the $6 billion. You saw that right.
And here's the problem. And here's the problem with that story. Wait, stop. Stop.
That's all right.
Stop. You see, this is the problem with your theories. You add stuff that isn't real. Did Joe Biden ask for that prosecutor to be fired? Yes. Was he investigating corruption? No. Why did our allies want him to be fired? Why did we want him to be fired? Because they all believed that he was working on behalf of Russia. And so, which explains why when he got fired, where did he run to, Toots? Did he stay in Ukraine? Or where did he go?
He went to
Russia. But again, you didn't know that. You've been told a story, a totally different story, that he was investigating Hunter Biden. He wasn't. He was not investigating Burisma.
Well, I mean, listen, of course he was investigating Burisma.
No, he wasn't. He was not investigating anybody. And that's why, by the way, Toots, you know who else? Toots, you know what happened after he was fired and they brought in a new prosecutor? Guess what the owner of Burisma did?
What?
Ran to Russia.
Was Hunter Biden working for Burisma?
He was.
Okay. So
why did the owner and the prosecutor run to Russia?
Maybe because the owner and the prosecutor were probably the only two good guys in there, and the rest of them were
and
corrupt.
good guys historically go to Russia.
Today they do.
The country of no corruption.
Today they do. There's more corruption. I mean, when you look at
no corruption in Russia. Just ask Alex Navalny, the political opponent of Putin, who's locked away in the Arctic somewhere. Like, what are you talking about?
Toots, I don't know if know that you're muted, but I feel like you were about to say that like other places, like that Russia wasn't corrupt, and that's pretty wild. Like the people that say more corruption in Ukraine, how? Like Vladimir Putin ended democracy in Russia. He has completely ended democracy. Like Ukraine just got a new president. I was getting a phone call. Yeah, go ahead. You were saying that I think you were maybe alluding to Russia not being a place of corruption.
Oh, I was saying something about okay. So what I'm saying is this: the whole world as we know it. I'm going to end on this because the whole world as we know it, it's not really what is being projected by the media. Everything that we're seeing is a lie. We're going to start to see it. You know, you just got to be a little more patient.
When are we going to start seeing it? You guys have been saying this for 30 years. When?
For a long time. I've been seeing
it for a long time. Okay, then when are we going to start to see it?
You should be seeing it because the evidence is everywhere, but you're still not seeing it yet.
You've provided no evidence to it. You've provided literally the opposite of evidence this entire discussion.
All right. Well, dude, I love you, and we're going to do this again. And thank you.
I can't wait to see you again.
See you. You guys are the best. Stay safe, guys.
All right, buddy. See you. Say it's coming. It's coming, police. We're gonna find out soon.
Any day now.
Yeah, deep state's it's coming, and it's gonna be Trump that brings them down.
I would love to see what dark corners of the internet Toots hangs out in. You know what I mean?
It's so annoying because he's really just like the
Parler.
nicest guy.
He's on Parler. Yeah. He's on Telegram.
He's hard not to like. Like he says insane things, but
I like him too. I like New Yorkers in general because they just say what they mean. Like you never have to wonder where they stand. They just say it right to your face immediately. Like, yeah, I've always liked New Yorkers. They agree with my personality.
Me too. I like when New Yorkers are like, I'm gonna be a fascist, and you're like, nah, he's just kidding. But then everything else, it's like, oh yeah, he says what he believes. I like those kind of New Yorkers.
Yeah,
the ones where
guys,
we just
tap the screen. Let's get to 300K.
Yeah.
Wasn't Julie supposed to tell us a story?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you remember?
Is Miss Julie here?
I don't know.
Oh, to finish the story. Yeah,
somebody said.
Jen maybe messaged me about Miss Julie earlier. Actually, let's see. I don't know if Miss Julie's here. Miss Julie, are you here?
No, I just I'm not saying she was contacting us. I'm just saying it just dawned on me that she was telling that funny story yesterday. And then, thank you so much. And then
she might have got put back in jail. She has a tendency to go to jail.
Okay, I have a question about the outline. On number 62, you wrote, Ukraine gives Russia a double purple nurple. What in the world does that mean?
You know what a purple nurple is?
I mean, I know it is.
You know what that is?
Yes, isn't that where you like twist someone's nipple?
Yeah, I was trying to pick words that wouldn't get us in trouble, but Russia had 21 A-50 and 11 22 planes for relaying commands from top headquarters. So their communication defense was these A-50s and 22, 11. I guess I don't know if it's an 11 20. Yeah, 11 22. And yesterday Ukraine took down 2 of them. So I just thought that was the flurple nurple that they gave.
Oh, okay. I was just like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. I think it was on, it might have been on
did you know that recently 2 Navy SEALs drowned?
No.
I didn't know that either. I put some interesting things at the end of the outline just to mention. Yeah, just they were on a mission to stop Yemen-bound Iranian weapons, and just they were like boarding a ship, like boarding a ship. I don't want to say unlawfully, but whatever their mission was to board a ship in like really rough seas. And basically, one got tossed out into the sea, disappeared, and then the other one jumped in to try to save him, and they were drowned. It was last week off the coast of Somalia. They were part of a nighttime commando operation that seized a small boat carrying lethal aid from Iran to the Houthi militia in Yemen. The U.S. military said on Tuesday, Navy commandos, backed by helicopters and drones hovering overhead, boarded the small boat on Thursday and seized Iranian-made ballistic missile and cruise missile components bound for Yemen. So let's get to the point. Indicates so then the Navy boarding was the first. I just want to get to the part where. Okay. And the two commandos tried to board Thursday night in rough seas. One of the men apparently slipped off the boarding ladder or was swept off by a high wave. And then another member of the team then jumped into the water to try to rescue the sailor, the official said. Both soon disappeared in the swells.
That's devastating.
I know. Our veterans work too hard and are not given enough credit for what's going on.
Imagine how bad the conditions have to be for a Navy SEAL to drown, right?
Exactly.
Like these are phenomenal
the ocean
athletes.
claims
Yeah, they're in
Lonzo.
phenomenal shape. That's crazy. Guerrilla Radio.
What's happening?
I was going to message you something, Gorilla. You were talking. I'll send it to you later. It's just an article I think you'd be interested in.
Awesome.
It was you were talking about innovation. Socialism doesn't encourage innovation, and this is just something to prove you are wrong.
Yeah, and maybe
so I'll send it to you.
Maybe innovation is the wrong word because socialism absolutely increased innovation in Cuba, right? How have you guys ever seen the document? What they do to the old cars, like the cars from the 50s, and how they replace parts because they that's like insane.
It's crazy. Like if you go to Cuba, it's just like cars from like the 50s and 60s, right?
Yeah, they'll need like an alternator and they have to figure it out themselves because they're, embargoed. So they'll make their own car parts. It's pretty crazy and it's worked. So innovation might be the wrong word. It just seems that in a socialist society or a communist society that you're not pushing people to become doctors and inventors and self-made men because they can't get rich, right? If it's social.
That's absolutely not true, right?
Okay,
There's
so
different pay scales, and specialized labor is valued in socialism as well as capitalism.
I think Cuba.
There's just not
Cuba
extreme inequality.
I think Cuba has like the best healthcare out of all of Central America, if I remember correctly. I'll look that up, but yeah,
I'll look.
Yeah, didn't that one dude go there? That
Che Guevara,
that documentarian guy, that fat dude that is a big Democrat.
Oh, I know. What was his name? Remember that guy who was making? Are you talking about? He was making those documentaries, and he had a hat. He wore like a hat.
He wore the hat. Yeah.
Yeah, and oh my God, what was that guy's name? He wore like a baseball cap, and it looked like he slept in his car.
Michael Moore. Yeah, it's
Michael Moore. There you go. Michael Moore.
Yeah, I think he went to Cuba to check out the healthcare at one point in one of his documentaries.
Yes, I think he did. I haven't thought about Michael Moore in so long.
So here's what I want to know from you guys. First of all, let me address the whole Ukraine, Russia. What evidence do you have that Russia is more corrupt than Ukraine? Because you're wrong, and I'll show you in a minute.
They literally ended democracy and put in an oligarchy. Where is the opposition to Vladimir Putin? Where do they wind up?
All right, so if you just do a quick Google search, you'll find this website that it's called the Rule of Law Index, and then you can click on the corruption. It's number 2, and it'll show you that Ukraine is 30 points higher than Russia as far as the Rule of Law Index, which has to do with the corruption.
Well, look, in Russia, Russia has already been corrupted. It's literally run by oligarchs, and it's ruled with an iron fist. So it depends on, if you're talking about free enterprises who are corrupt, basically Russia owns 50% of every corporation, every large business. The Russian government and actually really just oligarchs own 50% of that. So they have massive government control. So I would say that the presence of massive government control and an oligarchy and the end of democracy as Putin made it, like where he's just essentially the ruler for life, I would say that in and of itself is more corrupt. I would have to look at the corruption scores, but like Ukraine literally just had an election. They have democratic elections.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're not corrupt. The United States
there's corruption in both places.
It depends on what you're saying. Like, it depends on how you're defining corruption is what I'm saying. And it's not far. I see Ukraine at 0.49 and Russia at 0.44. I mean, they're very close.
I like this.
I don't know I don't know what they use for.
But do you see the left where you can click on constraints or absence of corruption? Click on the absence of corruption. You'll see that.
Do you know what they're using to factor in corrupt? Like, how are they measuring corruption?
I'm assuming it's that rule of law index. There's probably a spot on here where it breaks it all down.
I need to spend some time on here for sure.
Pretty cool.
This is this is really interesting. So
because you can have a democracy and go after your opponent.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you're political. Oh, you're talking about a political opponent. Oh,
Yeah.
please. Well,
Right.
like if you listen, I just want to mention something we're talking about with Russia. Like if you talk to America's leading Marxist economist Richard Wolff, like Russia was trying out, for a long time socialistic ideals, and it had moved away from capitalism. And the corruption of Russia, the onset of the oligarchy is like a return to crony capitalism. Like that's what the corruption in Russia looked like. Is there was socialism, right? And there was nationalized industry and things like that was benefiting the people. But with the move back to socialism, then you had these oligarchs, right, that just owned or got 50% of the profits from things like aluminum or, whatever. And that is the move to oligarchy. Crony capitalism is the corruption in Russia.
All right, so I pulled up how they have the factors for their absence of corruption. Here's the factors. Government officials in the executive branch do not use public office for private gain. Number 2, government officials in the judicial branch don't use public office for private gain. Government officials in the police and military do not use public office for private gain. And government officials in the legislative branch do not use public office for private gain.
Well,
that would rule out most of the oligarchs. Like, you know what I mean?
That rules out us.
Yeah.
That's why Harvard classifies us as an oligarchy.
This is just government corruption, and Putin. We don't even know how much money Putin has. I don't know how you could possibly measure in Russia. There are many people who believe Putin is the richest man on earth, but they hide all this stuff, and they use oligarchs outside of the government. So that I see what you're saying here, but potentially it looks like Ukraine's government corruption, at least it's known, is higher than Russia. But again, we're talking about a country who literally canceled democracy and gave a handful of oligarchs all the wealth.
Look at fundamental rights. I wonder what that shows. The U.S. can't be number one.
What? I know. We should be farther. I don't understand.
We're 38 in fundamental rights. Oh my God.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, we might need to move on down.
And this is 2023 is what,
right.
2023 rule of law index. Yeah.
Russia. So Russia is 124th in fundamental rights. And Ukraine is 59th.
Okay, then.
And that corruption that you were looking at also included the military and the police too, which I suppose you can't do all corruption, right? Like within private businesses of Russia and stuff like the mafia. But that would show up in the government too, you would think. I don't know.
No, the way, like, what Putin's really good at is Putin is really good at hiding wealth and hiding corruption. Again, I've told everybody this. If people still haven't read the book Red Notice, please go read the book Red Notice. It looks like one person, Bill Browder, exposed how corrupt Russia was. He exposed their entire financial their financial markets. He realized that they were undervalued. He recognized that. He went in. He started buying private shares of companies. And once Russia realized that they had undervalued all these companies, they just stole all of his shares and gave them to the oligarchs. And then they unalived his lawyer. And then he ran, and they put out a red. You can look at active red notices. There is an active red notice for Bill Browder, which is an extradition order. Russia puts that out. We're all allowed to put that out. Basically, if we have a red notice out, we find somebody, we extradite them back to Russia. Fortunately for Bill Browder, as a former American and current UK citizen, he has people in the UN willing to protect him. If you look at that Trump Tower meeting that happened between Don Jr., they were talking about an exchange for Bill Browder. They wanted to trade dirt on Hillary Clinton for Bill Browder. This is Russian all because he exposed how their financial system works, and they still to this day want him unalived. And all he did, again, he had all of his wealth stolen by them. They unalived his lawyer. His lawyer's name's Sergei Magnitsky. There's an act that was pushed by John McCain called the Magnitsky Act. That talks about investing in Russia and specifically like working with people who expose the corruption in Russia and the protections that they will be afforded by the United States. Russia is deeply corrupt, and anytime anybody exposes any sort of that corruption, despite the fact that, again, if they got a hold of Bill Browder, everybody knows how that ends, and they know essentially nobody would do anything about it. And so Bill Browder's in hiding, and he's basically relying on UN countries to protect him.
Do you ever seen the video? Not to talk good about the murderous leader of Russia, but do you ever see the video where these businesses are shutting down, and they're gonna, obviously, people are gonna lose their jobs, and Putin has them all at a table and makes them sign this paper that says that they won't shut down. And then he makes the guy give him his pin back. Have you ever seen that video?
What? No.
It's awesome. I have it pulled up right now. It's totally badass. He's like, you're going to sign. I don't see your name written here. And he goes, I signed it. We all signed it. And he goes, sign it again. And then Putin gives him a pin. He signs it and then walks away, and Putin makes him come back and give him his pen back. Like total boss move.
Well, it's better than poison.
That's true. And speaking of better than poison, it is 1 o'clock, and I have a hard cutoff, and I did not realize it was 1 o'clock. So I don't mean to cut you short, Guerrilla Radio. This is really interesting stuff. I'm glad you brought this up. I'm going to dig into it. I appreciate that.
Just one more thing before you get close. I just want, it really bothers me that you guys, nothing's ever wrong with the left, right? Anything that's wrong with the left, it's conspiracy theory of the right. So I just don't get how you guys think that the government doesn't do shady shit. You've defended all
What are you talking about?
Everything.
When have we ever said that?
Everything.
No, those were crazed conspiracy theories. Those were his feelings. I've said there's corruption in the government, but we've said many times, like with lobbying, with corporations, with the donor class, like that corruption is coming from being able to bribe and control people with money, and that needs to stop. I do think the government is corrupt. I'm the one yelling about a general strike to return some of the power to the people. Like, I've never said the U.S. government isn't corrupt.
Well, the Hillary,
I am also, but the answer is not to abolish the government and live in a libertarian ANCAP society, because the corruption is the same people it's always been. It's been the capitalists, it's been the kings and the kings. So you want to talk about conspiracy theories?
No, it's just everything is
not about actual corruption.
Everything's a conspiracy theory if it's against the left. Right? You literally had celebrities and politicians saying they were going to bail those people out of the Summer of Love 2020. Like, it's
what's bail? What's bail?
They were going to bail them out of jail.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Those people got arrested,
that means
the DAs let them off.
Yeah, that means that they would be allowed to just live while they were waiting for their court cases. That's not what is that corrupt?
Yeah, but it didn't even happen.
That's what Trump's doing.
Okay, but what's wrong? Like, I agree with you. That happened.
Yeah,
What's wrong with that?
That's corruption, man.
How's that corruption?
Because you got people that walked into January 6th into the Capitol, which should have been trespassing, holding their phone, being escorted by Capitol Police, and they're doing 10 years in prison. Like,
gotcha. But
people doing 10 years in prison, that is not
when
the case,
the American
Gorilla.
people pay for Donald Trump's bail bonds, and when they pay for his lawyer fees, that's not corruption. But if celebrities offer to pay the bail bonds of poor people, then that's corruption. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's just a bad look.
It is. That's what he's saying.
It kind of
He
seems
wants
like
poor
you're the
people in
one
jail.
right now who has a double standard.
No, come on. The 51
okay.
intelligence
What about
officers, Hillary's emails, the server, the bleach bit, the hammers.
I covered all that.
Yeah, come on. That's
Come on,
give me
what?
a fucking break.
Do you know why
It's
she's
a
not in jail?
conspiracy theory if we
Gorilla,
say
do you know
it.
what? No, it's not. I laid out the facts. She absolutely had documents that she wasn't allowed to. I said that she was guilty. I said she was not
but
allowed
she
to have
isn't
those
in
documents.
jail.
The
Why
reason,
isn't she in jail?
the reason she's not in jail is the previous administration also had somebody who wasn't careful with documents. In fact, more uncareful. General Petraeus was sharing actual classified documents with his girlfriend. And then when they found that out, what they did to General Petraeus is basically just take away his access to or I get what his clearance. They took away his clearance. I think he got a fine. He got a slap on the wrist. So when it came to Hillary Clinton, what she did was not nearly as dangerous as what Petraeus did, they couldn't give her a more severe penalty. There was already precedent. And look, I'm fine with saying that she should have gotten that. Like when a government employee does this, that she should have got a more harsh sentence. I'm fine with that. I think both of them should have had a more harsh sentence. I don't like that either of them did that. But I can't say like, oh, it's a conspiracy that Hillary didn't go to jail when the guy before her that did worse also didn't go to jail. I understand why she didn't go to jail. I don't have to like it, but I know what happened.
So what
And the
about
corruption
precedents
is, but
with
no, wait,
Joe
let me say
Biden?
something. Glorilla, let me say something. And think about it. Like the person who's suffering in this, like, is Jack Teixeira. He's a common citizen who had documents in a Discord with his gamer friends, right? And he will never probably see the light of day again.
Right.
Like it's the poor people.
Joe Biden in his documents in his garage. I mean,
That's not corruption, man.
unbelievable
Look, again, that's the problem is that you want us to overreact. Joe Biden should not have had those documents in his garage. Mike Pence shouldn't have had those documents in his garage or wherever he had them. They both shouldn't. But the difference between what they did and what Trump did is they self-reported. They called NARA. They said, here's where I keep all these documents. Will you please come look through these and take anything that is not supposed to be here? The tricky part with classified
Well, Trump
documents,
got raided.
just like, hold on, the tricky part,
Joe
just
Biden
like,
got a
hold
phone
on,
call.
hold on. The tricky part with classified documents is some things can posthumously be declared classified. So potentially you could have a box of documents that aren't classified when you leave office, and 5 years later, some of those could be classified. But again, the main difference here is that Joe Biden and Mike Pence volunteered it. Donald Trump not only didn't volunteer it, he lied repeatedly that he didn't have the documents, and then when he gave some documents back, he said, I gave all the documents back. And we have all these text messages between him, his lawyers, the people that were moving the documents around, the emails between NARA, between the FBI. He lied and obstructed justice.
Yeah,
He's
okay,
not,
so
just to be
that's-
clear, he's not being charged for having the documents. He's being charged for obstructing justice.
Right.
Because
Right,
you and
yeah,
I own
I
those
agree.
documents, Guerrilla Radio. Those are ours. Those are the people's documents. The president,
agree.
once he leaves office, has no right to them. And when we ask, they do not have the right to say, no, I'm not giving them back. That's the difference.
It's the obstruction that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
But before the obstruction,
But do you see how? But is it fair? Like I just laid that out. Was I not
Yeah,
fair? in
that's
saying,
fair.
Like, am
That's
I not
fair.
fair in laying out all the facts?
you still one guy got raided. The other guy
Because-
got
No, Gorilla,
But he's the
look at the
only one-
timeline. They asked nicely over and over and over and over. NARA, not the DOJ, not the FBI, asked over and over again, just give them back. You know this is a self-inflicted wound. This went on for a year, and then they had to go get them back. The crime is not in having them where they're not supposed to be. The crime is in not returning them.
Well,
and then when they try to collect them, you cannot obstruct an investigation. Everyone knows that. That's
Yeah.
why Trump is in trouble
I
for
get it.
obstruction
I mean,
of justice.
that's the one I'm worried about of all the 4 charges.
I'm
Well,
just
don't
wondering
worry, you
why
got
think-
what's her name? That judge
I'm just wondering
that
why
would
you
just
think I'm being
drag it out
like
for all eternity.
after I laid out those facts, and we all agree those are the facts, and by the way, I've said this multiple times on this stream, you're accusing me of not caring when Democrats do it. Like, I do care, and I've said they shouldn't have done that, but I shouldn't care about Mike Pence and Joe Biden more than I care about what Trump did, because Trump actively tried to not give them back. When I look at Mike Pence and Joe Biden, I see two people who said, like, come look, you can have access to whatever you want. We're not going to obstruct in any way. Come take whatever. And both of them contacted NARA after they saw what was going on with Trump. They're like, oh, I don't ever want to be in a mess like this. So they self-reported. They're like, hey, NARA, can you come look through our stuff and take whatever you need? Whatever's not allowed to be here, come take it. All I'm saying is, like, of course I wouldn't be more mad at that than the guy who repeatedly obstructed justice. So why would I spend? It doesn't make sense to spend time on Joe Biden and Mike Pence, who didn't commit a crime, but Donald Trump did commit a crime.
So do we know? And I've searched and I haven't been able to find. Do we know why Trump? I mean, did he refuse that? Where the past 5 presidents, NARA has provided a secure location near the home for them to go through the documents on what goes in their library or not. Do we know what happened there? Or was this a joke on Trump? Like, you don't know. You're not a politician. You don't know the rules. You have to request that from NARA.
Well, if it's a joke on him, well, why? Even if that was true, which it doesn't seem like it, he still obstructed justice. Again, that's the part that, like, you guys want so badly for him to be exonerated, or for him or to show like that the left is somehow responsible for this. But it's silly. It's silly for you guys to spend any time defending this action. What you should be saying is, like, yeah, he obstructed justice, and he should be reprimanded for that. He should be held accountable for that, because that's what would happen to you. That's what would happen to me. That's what would have happened.
Jack Teixeira will never see the light of day again.
Joe Biden,
that child is never coming out of jail.
Sure. Maybe just
Trump's awaiting trial, moving about the country freely. That kid, do you think he got an opportunity for bail? Absolutely not. They submitted an appeal saying, hey, if the president of the United States did the exact same thing, and he got an opportunity to not be in jail while awaiting trial, why doesn't Jack Teixeira? Do you think that appeal was hurt? No, it was slapped down.
Right. I don't know. It just seems like you guys always like to point that it's, and we're not more conspiracy theory than you. I mean, I actually looked that up as well.
What's our conspiracy theory, though?
Chemtrails.
What conspiracy theory do like I believe in?
Flat earthers are split down the row. They're even on both parties.
You're saying, when you say you mean left and right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
no, I agree with that.
Are more left.
I agree with that. I think the far left and the far right are very conspiratorial.
And chemtrails also matched with Bigfoot, I believe. So there's a poll you can read. It was
right,
on
but Gorilla, am I conspiratorial? Is Felice?
No, I'm not saying you guys, but you guys try to tell your guests that come up that are conservative that you guys are. I mean, you mentioned in this live that we're more conspiracy theory, and it's not true. It's in
the mainstream. It certainly is. If we're talking about people in the government, that's who we were talking about. I'm not talking about the voters, because that's impossible to say. I'm talking about the actual people in government. Like, who's the conspiracy theorist on the left?
Well, you guys would be the conspiracy theory, because you think that everything.
What conspiracy theory do I believe in?
Is a conspiracy theory.
What conspiracy theory do I believe in?
You believe that this is all innocent. That
what's innocent?
Well, maybe not the Hillary thing, but other shit.
What do I believe is innocent?
Well, you believe that Trump is guilty of all this shit. You believe in Russia.
I've actually not said that. I've been very careful not to say. The only thing I've ever said Trump is definitely guilty of is obstruction.
But guy,
and I think we can all agree on that.
You know that Hillary started it. What I hear the other day, the birther movement thing, that was all Trump. That was a dude in Hillary's campaign that started the birther.
Yeah, but
we've never said we all know where the birther movement thing came from.
And Russia collusion, same thing. Look what Hillary has done.
Oh, here we go again. We do this with you every time. Please don't make us talk about the dossier. We've already done this, Gorilla.
But wait, you're now going back. I asked you to tell me what conspiracy theories I believed in, and you're going back to conspiracy theories you believe in.
It feels
like you're making my point. Could you tell me what conspiracy theory I believe in?
I think that it would be a conspiracy for you to not believe this shit.
Who is
That it's a
conspiring
cult
with
for
me?
you, that they're all
Who's
in a,
who's
the left is
conspiring with me?
innocent, the right has conspiracy.
Who is conspiring with me?
Well, you're running the cult. You're running the live, dude.
Okay, gotcha. So what's the theory? Because it has to be a theory, meaning I have this idea, and that theory has to involve some sort of conspiracy. I'd have to be accusing other people of working together or conspiring to make this true. So what conspiracy theory do I believe?
Well, you've twisted it so that the Russia collusion that Hillary started is true because they were working in back rooms with Russia on data exchange.
No, I didn't. I said
so that
what
all
I
of a
specifically let's be clear on what I just said earlier. I said that there was no investigation into Russian collusion. You can go read Mueller's report. You can read his charging documents. That is not what he was asked to investigate. He was asked to investigate any and all connections between the Trump campaign and Russia. And what I've said repeatedly is that there has never been any evidence that leads back to Donald Trump working with Russia, but there is plenty of evidence and guilty pleas from people that worked for the Trump team that were working with Russia. I've said that repeatedly. I've said repeatedly that there is no evidence that Donald Trump was working directly with Russia. None.
And it doesn't even make sense.
So how is that a conspiracy? So why are you accusing me of a conspiracy theory?
I'm just saying,
I'm so pragmatic with it.
It doesn't make sense when it's Hillary doing the uranium deals with Russia, to where that would even be the case. Where
that's another conspiracy theory you believe. Here's another conspiracy. See, again, you just keep saying conspiracy theories that you believe.
That never happened.
Well, no, see, the thing is you think what never happened. Like, yes, things happen, but the conspiracy theory, in order for it to be a conspiracy theory, you then have to say, like, here's the people conspiring, here's what they were conspiring to do. But again, I've asked you repeatedly, show me a conspiracy theory I believe in, and you just keep talking about conspiracy theories that I don't believe in.
Well, I think it would be a conspiracy theory that you believe in, that everything that the left does is a right-wing conspiracy.
I've never said that.
You're not following the logic on that?
No, not even remotely. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a conspiracy theory of the right.
Wait, no, I haven't said that. I've never said that.
Anyway.
Well, this is the thing. This thing you want so bad for me to act like you guys do, so that you can just call me a hypocrite. But the truth is, every time you've tried to nail me down on something, I'm careful, and I'm careful on purpose because I know people listen, and I know there are people like you who I actually respect this about you. You will take notes and you will bring receipts. And if you had receipts of me believing in conspiracy theories, you would bring them up. So when I say things about Donald Trump, when I talk about his guilt or his innocence, and when I talk about the facts of the case, I'm very careful to just simply lay out the facts of the case. And maybe I'll say, like, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. I'm very careful not to predict outcomes. Very careful.
Well, let me leave you, since you had a hard stop, let me leave you with one more conspiracy.
Okay, but wait, before you do that, as an olive branch to me, I just want you to admit that you were not able to find a conspiracy theory I believed in.
I know one you believe in. I know one you believe in.
Lauren Boebert.
That's definitely one. No,
frogs are gay.
If the left has a conspiracy theory, if we have one, it's where was margarine when that backpack was planted? That's what it is. That's the left's conspiracy theory. If I ever host like a live about conspiracies, we will be analyzing Marge's gate and that video of that's what we'll be doing. Where was margarine with that backpack was planted?
True. All right, you got me there.
Where's Waldo? All right. So here's the conspiracy. I've heard this from several people that are in the industry of, as you know, respiratory therapy. And I believe I've told you guys this before, and I'm only saying this because you were saying that your ex can't taste food. If you chew nicotine gum for 2 days, your smell comes back and your taste comes back. So I would just recommend, I know the gum is expensive, so maybe borrow a couple pieces.
We were talking about this. I was saying that there's a professor who I follow on TikTok who was saying that she chews nicotine gum when she gives like her, there's like benefits to it. Yeah. We were talking about
so 2 days.
That's
There's
just
a lot of benefits to small amounts of nicotine.
Guerrilla Radio. That was just stuff that they've used. Like, people have tried things and it worked. That's not a conspiracy
that's
theory.
science.
That's just science. I appreciate
science.
It's not proven science, but I mean,
doesn't nicotine like increase like vascular circulation or something?
It
like,
must do something to the receptors in your. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
And now I want to challenge you to give up smoking and do that nicotine gum, because we need you to be around for a long time.
I have one left, and I'm going to try again
You're
today.
growing on me like a fungus, Gorilla. Like today, I was like, I need to send Gorilla this article.
Gross.
I don't know how we got to this point.
Gross. You just reminded me of a Joe Rogan video I watched yesterday where
that is
there we go.
They're growing through.
That's the meanest
insects.
thing anyone's ever said to me.
No, but
just reminded me of a Joe Rogan video.
They do this thing where fungus is growing in the insects, like through them. It's crazy. They turn into zombie bugs. It's kind of cool, actually. But
it sounds like some Marjorie Taylor Greene shit. I like that. All right, dude. I do need to get going though. But thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Peace and love.
Show. Bye.
Shit. Anything? Oh, Felice just bounced. Thank you guys for all the support today. I appreciate it. Make sure if you're not following this account, I have no idea when I'm going to be unbanned or if I'm going to be unbanned. Make sure you're following this account. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm working on an event that I think will be really cool. It'll be an evening event, but we do post our content there, and we hope to be doing more long form shows where we can show videos, and instead of playing the audio clips here, we can actually play the videos for you. We'll live stream them there and also here on TikTok, but we're working on that. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Remember, your likes, your shares, your subscribes, all the stuff you can do for free on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, all the other places we have our content. Every time you like, comment, or subscribe, it helps us out a great deal. And that's, again, stuff you can all do for free. So if you like the content and you want to see more of it, please just help us out that way. We'll be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. I think that's it. Join the Discord. Shoot Jen a DM if you'd like to join the Discord. We also have some cool stuff coming up in the Discord. We got a book club there. We got a lot of shit talking. We've got some competitions. We will have some opportunities for people to be involved in politics, some opportunities to write, to be involved in the show. If you want to be involved politically, if you want to be involved with our community and with the show, please join the Discord. That's also free. We don't charge you for any of that. Shoot me or Jen a DM. I apologize to anybody I didn't get back to yesterday. I just realized now that some people probably DM'd my other account and I forgot to check them. So I'm sorry if you didn't get an invitation yesterday. It'll be there today. Other than that, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time every day. Thank you for listening, and be safe. Stay warm, especially if you're in Texas or anywhere. I guess anywhere, but Arizona. Take care of yourselves.